Yeah, she's calling back. We're going to try to give her a call again, and then she just added another phone number to the 13-year-old grandson who's possibly with the daughter. Step out with this.
2412.
Veteran crisis hotline's calling in, so they have a female veteran off her medication. She's at work to safe haven. Attacking 12, take a check that one out.
6-1 bullet, 2-1 start, take a shot.
Officer still stands for time? No. Offender in custody? Temporary. Thanks. Anyone else close, wait to zero, so let me know. First number. 10-4.
Good morning, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me okay.
Sounds good.
And yeah, I'm trying to not have the microphone in front of my face all the time. So let me know if it sounds better or if I need to turn it up or anything. And also, I hope StreamYard does. There we go. Well, I figured we'd be at it already, but it's not. It's doing okay. We're still trying all the little dumb stuff that StreamYard's offering. See, this is weird. Like everything, I don't know. It's weird. It goes away. But good morning.
Hello.
And I also apologize if my sinuses are all messed up. It's a morning daily thing right now, as the pollen's all over the place. But we're going to discuss a few court documents, and if we have time, which I think we should, we'll see. Like to go into that Steve G interview that he had on DTS last night. Said some really interesting things. It kind of goes along with, stuff that has been around since the beginning, and I bring it up quite a bit when we have our conversations when it comes to the weapon or weapons, and when it comes to the types of injuries. We've had a lot of discussions lately with these documents that have come out about the types of injuries and everything surrounding that. And it was one of those things, in the very beginning, that I was hearing a lot of different things in the very beginning, but at the very beginning, I'm not trying to be graphic or anything, but from within a month or so, we were hearing that Kaylee was unrecognizable. I guess is a softer, gentler way to put it. And whenever it's discussed about, especially with this knife sheath and the Amazon order and all these other things with the K-bar, I've always come from the spot where when you really listen to Kathy Mabbitt, she's telling you already that there was two different types of injuries, which means two different weapons. It's one of the reasons why in the very beginning the community was discussing the golf clubs.
Right.
If anybody remembers that, a lot of people were discussing the golf clubs. Why? Because of blunt, not sharp, because of blunt. And so, when you hear Steve G talk about Kaylee last night on DTS, and what he said about it's why, I'll always continue to bring up when it comes to this K-bar and the knife sheath that I love referring to Yoli, because Yoli has been saying for the longest that the sheath didn't commit the crime.
Right.
And so, when you put all that together, and then I can see, I don't know, the whole targeted and all that other stuff. There's a lot of people bringing up each one of the victims as potential targets, but when you look at the injuries and you hear, you go by what you heard from the very beginning, and then you look at the timeline. It happened right when she came back. She was just going to be there for a couple-day period, and with the type of rage and everything, but I'll never understand how they came to the conclusion that the community was safe from the very beginning. So I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, also in terms of the documents that have come out, it completely adds to what you're saying, because the defense is alleging by their expert that Kaylee was attacked with 2 different weapons, which we only read recently. So that just further adds to everything that you're saying about Kaylee, plus what we heard from Steve.
Mm-hmm. And also, it brings up a lot more questions with these documents too, about that whole 8-hour delay.
Yeah.
From the very beginning, I've just been said, like I said, I'll haunt your ass if we're supposed to be friends. If we're supposed to be friends, and somebody comes in and you don't even call, because I still might have a fighting chance. You don't know. You don't know. And if somebody is not willing, listen, a 5-year-old knows how to call 911. You know why? Because they want to try and save somebody. Because they're worried. Because even a freaking kid, a child, knows how to call 911. And the 8-hour delay, it's something that a lot of people got bashed in the beginning, because it's like, yo, this ain't, no, what the heck? What the heck? Oh, how dare you? No, how dare you? How dare you call yourself a friend for somebody and you're saying that you wouldn't do this? Get the F out of here. Get the F out of here. Especially if you're supposed to be my bestie.
Yeah, and especially if you, like Caroline says, you did actually see a little something. Maybe you're not admitting to everything that you saw, but there was something. Twice. And I know that in this interview, Steve is saying that there's a reasonable explanation for this delay, but whatever it is, it's not good enough. Like, no. There's nothing that can be good enough.
No.
Yeah.
That's some immature bullshit. And I'll just say it how it is.
Yeah.
Because if a child has the instincts to do it and the reasons why, and an adult doesn't, because listen, they're grown.
Yeah, they are.
They graduated. They're going to college. They're grown. What is 18? 18 means you're an adult. You fly. You go do your thing. The parents' job is to prepare you for the day that you go out on your own, just like a damn bird does to their young. You prepare them to go fly. And then you got a couple years more life experience. I'm sorry. I might piss off some people, but I really don't care, because to me, that's uncalled for. Because who knows? What if Xana was laying on the floor, fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting, and she heard Dylan walking around, and she heard the shuffle, and she's sitting there, still alive, fighting, going, why in the F is not anybody helping? Can you imagine?
No.
Oh, I'd haunt your motherfucking ass. I would. Because I know if I went through that, I ain't crossing over the fucking pond. That's one of the most messed up ways to go on this planet is you have somebody right there that can help and nothing takes place. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And people insinuating that they just didn't want to get in trouble for drinking or whatever. Like I keep saying, it's not good enough because it's not for them to say that it's too late. It's like, it's for a professional to say. It's not for anybody to say. You always call. So I don't know. That was one thing that really upset me from the interview.
It's because somebody doesn't know how to take accountability, and that comes from that comes from the parents.
Yeah.
Because it's your job as a parent to teach your child what accountability is.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're not going to be accountable for shit, it ain't good. It's going to be a hard life.
Yeah.
Because we're here to learn. As soon as we're out of the womb, we're learning. That's how we progress. That's how we evolve. We're learning. Man, you see this stuff and you see that, at first, she was sleeping. They were sleeping. Bullshit. Text messages come out and you see, oh no, there's a lot of activity. Hey, they even added a contact at 3:51. All on social media. Talking, sending pictures, sending videos, talking to mama, talking to daddy. All this other stuff. And you have to have somebody you can call your friend, but you can't call you can call your friend to come over, but you can't call 911. And you gotta wait you're not even gonna call 911 until somebody says, hey, you should probably call 911. What the F is that?
I don't know. And honestly, I think that with everything that's coming out lately, when it comes to the roommates, things are starting to get like blurred. Like, they have to actually pick a lane. Is it going to be you were so terrified that you were frozen and didn't know what to do? Or is it going to be that you just didn't know what was going on and you thought somebody was passed out? Or, you don't get to just like mix them. What was actually going on? Like, they saw Xana, but they were never terrified.
Right.
But she just passed out. But they were terrified.
Right.
What?
It goes along with the latent shoe print. It's what I've been saying from the beginning. It ain't. Listen, the person that committed the crime, they ain't worried about cleaning up their damn shoe print. And when it's a size 9,
yeah.
The van shoes that were in the bag that Fry was carrying out to go give back to the surviving roommates and families. You just took the evidence out, bro. You just took the evidence out. The reason why there was no call, the reason why somebody had to, hey, did you call 911? No. Well, you probably should. Okay. You know why the phone kept getting handed off? Because somebody didn't want to be involved. You know why? Because they didn't want to be involved, just like they didn't want to be involved when they cleaned up the footprint. It's the same damn person. Because somebody walked in something and went, oh shit. And you know what? That latent footprint, that was because somebody came home late as shit. That's why I said Dylan wasn't home until 3:51.
Yeah. I don't get this whole thing about, if you guys read the documents about being in Kaylee's room as well. I mean, we'll get to it, but that makes no sense to me. Like, yeah, we'll get there. This time. We will. But yeah, no, I know it's infuriating. A lot of what's come out today has been a lot, coupled with the interview.
Somebody knows something. Because, listen, it's so obvious. It's so obvious. I'm gonna... Listen, my friend's not here anymore, right? She's out of town. I'm gonna invite her as my one, right? I'm not going to get home until 3:51, right? I'm not going to call and try and see if my friends can get help to stay alive, right? Because she knows. And you know what the crazy thing is? And I'm going to say it right now. She knew about it before it even took place.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it right now. She helped.
Yeah.
When you look at all this stuff that's coming out. You look at all this stuff that's coming out. And somebody had to tell you to call 911? No. When it smells like a hot dog steak, I say it's a hot dog steak. And by the way, I'll throw this up there real quick. EvilleCJ@gmail.com. It's a bunch of BS. Now listen, I gave the benefit of the doubt. Listen, it was always messed up. No 911 call until friends show up at noon. Always. That's why I didn't care if I got bashed in the beginning for it, because I'm like, look, hey, I'm just saying if I was a friend and that happened, you know what I would do. And then I'm going to tell you right now, if I'm friends with somebody, because I give people my 150, and I'm telling you right now, if you can't even call 911 for my ass with what I do for you, oof.
Yeah.
No.
Especially knowing that you saw one of them twice.
Not even. You know what I'm saying? But now, yeah, all this that's coming out. You saw, oh, okay, she was up. Oh, she ran downstairs. Excuse me. Benefit of the doubt, right? Benefit of the doubt. Oh, she ran downstairs. Still was suspicious about the 911. But now when you see them, listen, you don't even have to be a friend. You're going to tell me right now, you can walk up to a stranger and see them laying on the ground. To a stranger. And see them laying on the ground. Red stuff or not. And you don't call 911? For a stranger. I mean, put yourself in that position. You're walking down the street. You see somebody laying on the ground.
Yeah,
hey, sir,
that's what you
sir,
do.
you okay? Sir, you okay? Don't hear nothing. I'd imagine you'd have to see red stuff. You're not going to call 911. You're not going to go to maybe a safe place or something right across the street. Maybe, whatever you need to do. Not right there where you see, look right here. This is another human being.
Yeah.
Forget the name, forget the sex, forget the friendship, forget the connection. This is another life. How?
Yeah.
So you look at all that and you put it all together. I'm sorry. I'm sure I'm going to get some hate for it, but I don't care. To me, this shows Dylan knew. I'm going to give some general description. Say I was drunk. Say I don't know. I can't. It could have been a dream. It could have been a dream. And I'm not very crafty, right? I'm not a very crafty person because I'm unaccountable for everything in my life. So that means I've never really had to work, right? So if I've never really had to work, then how am I supposed to have to be able to work my mind to be able to come up with something crafty, right? That's why I avoid everything at all costs, because I don't want to show that I'm not crafty. And I'm going to be as lame as using the fucking drawings on my wall to use as part of the description, because I can't be crafty. Because then they'll know that I'm bullshitting. And how law enforcement didn't push farther, how law enforcement allowed these surviving roommates to stay in a hotel after the first day of questioning and talk to each other and then continue more interviews.
Yeah.
Did they know? Because that seems like a deliberate attempt at plausible deniability, which is what runs rampant up there. All this plausible deniability. How in the heck do investigators not push that angle? My God, she was in the bedroom, in between the two bedrooms where the crime took place, and you're not gonna press? Especially when you already knew all this stuff that was in the documents that we are just seeing years later. You knew all this? We're seeing stuff that they knew within the first week and a half. Realize that, people. We are seeing the stuff that they knew in the first week and a half. And you got investigators not pushing up on this, and we don't even know everything yet. Think about the stuff that has just came out recently. And we have still a long way to go.
Yeah.
How did they not? This is another life. This is another human being. What the is wrong with people these days?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
She
knows. She knows, and she was part of it. That's why she invited her to be her one. Because that was part of the freaking plan. And how investigators did not go... you get dropped off minutes before the crime takes place? You add a new contact minutes before the crime supposedly takes place? No, what I think took place as well is, yes, like I thought from the beginning, the original timeline between 3 and 4. And the reason the latent footprint is there is because Dylan was walking in. Because she didn't want to be there when she knew what was going to go down. Make sure not to go downstairs, okay, killer? Make sure not to go downstairs, killer. I'm not going to come home until after the crime takes place. And then when I walk in, it's going to be dark. And the only light that's going to be shining is from the good vibes light. So it's hard to see right in front of that little section in the kitchen where I stepped in something and I didn't mean to. That's why there's the latent shoe print, because she was walking in. The blood was already there. I accidentally stepped in it with one foot, so I hurried up and made sure that I didn't step in it with the other foot. So then I could take that shoe, bring it in with me as I take it off, and, whatever. And then I'm going to go out there and make sure that I clean up my footprint, because I don't want people to know that I was dropped off at 3:51.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that now we know there was definitely a cleanup, and we don't even know, who's responsible for what cleaning up, but that's likely part of it. And I know that we talk about Dylan a lot, but that's just because we know a little bit more. There's Bethany too. And I think that it's both of them. I really do. I don't know what you guys think, but I think it's both.
I mean, it could be, but I really feel you look at the text messages from Bethany. I really feel like she didn't really know.
Okay.
You know, that just my opinion. I look at the text messages, but Xana was wearing, you know, it's like whip out, you know, like, huh? Well, just come down here. You know, you can see I don't know. I can see concern, real concern, in Bethany's messages to Dylan. What I see from Dylan, I'm screwed. You know, oh my gosh, F my life. Like, just panic.
Yeah.
Bethany is showing concern.
I don't know.
I feel like just kind of like what I feel like DM knew. DM helped set it up. Obviously, you're looking at it. And then I feel like just make sure you know, DM. Just make sure you don't go downstairs, okay, killer? Just make sure you don't hurt her. She has nothing to do with this.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess time will tell. I don't know what it is, but there's something about Bethany. I don't know. Even when I read those text messages, I feel like she's in more control than a lot of people give her credit for.
Well,
and I think that she just it feels to me. I know that's not really a fact-based thing, but it feels to me like she knows more by the way she's texting, like the way she's saying, "Just come down here." I don't know. I don't know what it is. There's something about that.
Well, we'll get through it. Yeah, I mean, what it is though is it's fishy. And what it is it doesn't make sense, and it never has from the beginning, ever since the first couple days when we found out that the 911 call was not placed until 8 hours later.
Yeah.
Especially if there's a couple people that they know are early risers, right? Early risers. And good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us as we're going to get into it. So what would you like to get into first? What document would you like to get into first as we get into it?
Should we go with the vague and undisclosed expert testimony, because it's a little bit shorter, then we can just kind of get that out the way.
Yeah.
And there's some interesting things in here.
Let's see here. All right. Vague and undisclosed expert testimony. All right. So we got 14 pages. Let me see here. I'm just going to skip ahead a little bit. If that's or do you want to start from the beginning, or I can skip ahead a little bit?
No, that's perfect.
Let me see here. We'll go into the witness stuff later. Okay. Let's see here. Where do you want me to start at?
Okay, so should we start with should we just start with analysis, or just go from that witness, Jenny Ayers?
Yeah, let's go ahead and start off with excuse me, Jenny Ayers. Let me see here. I can go ahead and read it this time, and then if you want, yeah, just and then just let me know if you want me to pause or whatever. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Jenny Ayers is a forensic scientist with the Idaho State Police, ISP, Forensic Services. 1 second. Let me turn that down. All right. with ISP Forensic Services, who works in evidence collecting and crime scene processing. She is disclosed to testify in the state's case in chief about crime scene processing generally, including collecting DNA, blood stains, latent fingerprints, hair and fibers, and shoe impressions. She will explain what DNA is, that it may present in biological material or left on an item when handled. Let me explain that again. She will explain what DNA is, that it may be present in biological material or left on an item when handled, and that it is collected for preservation and sent elsewhere for testing. So I want to, as we're getting into this, I want to show you guys this photo again because it's something that has been brought up from the very beginning. And again, it is very important that everybody sees this photo, and this is what they are talking about right here. The DNA, dirty gloves, the DNA all over the gloves, touching all over the equipment, the camera, even the gloves that were put in the pocket to bring into the crime scene. Those gloves were also contaminated. So when it comes to these items in this testimony, I'm going to be very interested because especially when it comes to how it's supposed to be processed, collected, and then how it's preserved when it's handled to be able to get sent for the proper testing. Now, she's also going to testify to her work in the case, detailed in Lab Report 25 and supporting field notes. That report discusses ISP's processing of defendant's Pullman apartment and Washington State University office, which included photographing and collecting evidence. Remember? And collecting evidence. You have the dirty DNA from the glove all over the equipment, all over the extra gloves before you walk into the crime scene. Like I said, you're taking photos. You saw the video of them taking photos, making notes, and they obviously, after they're done taking photos, they're going to be collecting the evidence too. Very important about this touch transfer. Miss Ayers was specifically involved in capturing images of the apartment and office and performing presumptive tests for the presence of blood at various points in the apartment. Her rebuttal testimony concerns ISP's crime scene investigation procedures generally and the ISP forensics team's processing of the crime scene at 1122 King Road, including identifying areas that contained probative evidence. In addition, the lab report 11, and field notes for the team's work are referred by Bates with the disclosure. Defendant argues Miss Ayers' case-in-chief disclosures do not provide any opinions she has about crime scene processing or about the DNA at issue in the case. Thus, he asks the court to limit her testimony to her qualifying background and her work in Lab Report 25 as to her rebuttal disclosure. Defendant argues again that it fails to provide any opinion about crime scene investigation procedures, and it does not clearly state what she did in processing 1122 King Road and what her opinion is regarding that work. Isn't that crazy?
I mean, I think that's a reasonable thing for them to say. And honestly, I feel like some of the stuff that's worded in the way the judge words this is a little bit dismissive to the defense. Like what we just read there, I think is reasonable. I really do. I mean, I know that I'm not clued up on the legal side of things, but I mean, how can they not want to know those things? Like,
how? Yeah. Listen, that should have been in the discovery from day one.
Yeah,
I'm serious. That's why she was asking. Remember, in the very beginning, she was asking for training records.
Yeah.
It's because of the way I mean, this is the day that they showed up, you know? This is the day that they showed up. Hold on, it's not really. It's the day that they showed up, you know? You got the glove on the ground. This lady steps all over it multiple times. They know there's a glove on the ground because she slaps her on the leg and says, "Hey, there's a glove on the ground." And then she puts it in this bag and with the same glove grabs a whole bunch of new gloves, stuffs them in her pocket, and then opens up her equipment and starts touching everything. It's how would you that should be something that gets included right away. And the reason that you'd be able to share it right away is because you're trying to keep track. As an investigator, you're trying to keep track.
Yeah. I mean, I've not even seen that, like, in South Africa on a crime scene.
It just doesn't it doesn't make sense at all. And that would be like, that's day one notes. All right, we got so and so, so and so, so and so, so and so. They're doing this, they're doing this, they're doing this. And then to say like how nobody, let's be, it's Moscow, Idaho. It's small as hell. Everybody knows each other. You're not going to be able to recall off a memory, or maybe be able to, there's how many people that showed up, and you're going to say that they never saw each other before. Come on, man. Even if you don't have somebody at that crime scene writing down and taking notes, you have to take notes when you, like, maybe not right as you're doing it, but you have to debrief.
Yeah.
What is a debrief? Yeah. You write down everything that you experienced, what was, so they know what the hell the situation is. Good morning. There had to be some kind of debriefing too. So to sit there and act like, well, we don't really, you can't see this picture right here, investigators. You can't see this picture right here, and you can't tell me you don't. You can't tell me you don't. Oh, I don't know who that is.
Right. That's why the guy there was turning his back, right? Be like, I wasn't even here.
Yeah, the ISP guy right here, because he knew what was going on. Mm-hmm. And you can see the video. Just look up DNA Dirty Glove EvilleCJ, and you'll see a couple videos. You'll see a revisited. Watch the revisited. Or I'll drop the link in chat for you. Like, you can see it. It's drone video. They didn't know people was looking. They didn't know people was recording. There was a drone in the air looking down on their ass because that zoomed in. That drone was way up in the air, okay? That drone was way up in the air, zoomed down in. None of these people knew that this was being recorded.
Yeah,
and when you're treating a crime scene the way that you treat it as you show up, it's like I said, you ain't making it out of your first day of class because the teacher's already going to go, there ain't enough common sense for you, ma'am. You might as well pick another occupation, because if you show up this way, like, and this is like, seriously, you go to school for it, and this is how you show up to a crime scene, and this is how you don't have that in the back of your head about, that's what school is for, to prepare you for situations like this. So when you walk into it, you don't make these mental mistakes, this obvious mental mistake. You don't make them. That's why you go to school.
Yeah, and I mean, from what I understand, you're supposed to, look, that's probably not the same in all countries and places, but you're supposed to, like, cordon off the scene, and you're supposed to double cordon off. So you cordon off the main scene, and then you have an outer area as well that you cordon off some distance from that. And you do all of this preparation before you enter. Now, look, I'm not an expert. I'm still a student. But I still think that this area should have been within the first...
the parking lot? Yeah. That's... You see them all parking all over the place. It's like, why was the parking lot not closed off too?
Yeah, so like, I mean, look, I've cordoned off entire streets before, just on instruction, but I don't know how it works, so that's why I always get like nervous to say. But this is part of the scene. They should have been doing this in the street as well. So beyond just like this, I don't even know what to call it. They're still like trampling the scene as well with their dirty gloves.
I mean, it's like say the ISP is the teacher. Say we're showing up at a crime scene today, class. You know, we're showing up at a crime scene today, class. And if I'm the guy, and I'm the teacher, or I'm the ISP guy, because I want to make sure, look, I don't want anything to get messed up. I don't want anything to get messed up from this investigation. These are 4 victims that didn't deserve this. I want to make sure that there's no way this guy can get away with it. Right? That's what your job is. So if I'm a teacher or I'm the freaking ISP guy standing right there, and this is class, and this lady reaches down and then goes to right before she goes to grab the new gloves with that nope, don't touch that box. The teacher's gonna say no, don't touch that box. You just picked up a dirty glove. It's just like taking your dog out to go poo. You pick up the poo with the bag. You take the bag off from the outside so the poo stays on the inside, just like you would a contaminated glove. You pick it up with your glove, and then you take the glove you have on your hand and you pull it inside out so the contamination is inside that glove, and then you get another one. I would have stopped her right there. No, don't touch that. You're already contaminated. Now this guy right here, why in the heck is he turning his head when it's happening? Because he's right there. He can hear her smack the leg. Hey, there's a glove down there. You just stepped on it. She let her know a couple times. Hey, there's a glove on the ground. And then as she goes to reach down, oh, what's that, a bird?
Right.
Why didn't he say, ma'am, you just picked up? Because if I'm standing there and I'm an investigator and I see somebody else do that, why wouldn't I? Because I don't want that person that committed the crime to get away with it based off some BS.
Yeah, of course. I think that people I think it is probably more common than we know for them to just look the other way on things, like literally. Yeah.
You know, I don't expect the lady in the middle, I don't expect her to know what the hell took place with Punky Brewster. I don't know. I don't expect her to know what took place. Look, she's trying to get stuff ready. Okay? She's trying to get stuff ready. Punky Brewster, she just don't give a shit. Lazy as hell. Listen, if that's how you treat an investigation, I'd hate to see what your house looks like, because there's probably shit everywhere.
Cool.
Dirty dishes filling up the sink that ain't been washed for like a month. Nasty.
My mom just messaged me. She said
that's lazy.
She said it looks like those people are getting ready for the annual police picnic.
It's horrible. I'll show you guys the video. I'll end the show with the video of the drone so you can see it live in action. It's ridiculous, people. Or actually, I'll just drop the link for the DNA dirty glove. All right, so let me switch back to this document here. I can't wait for that testimony. That's going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
But again, that stuff is notes from day one.
Yeah.
How? You know, how is that's not even available? I don't understand that. It should have been something that was provided right away. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm usually a little bit like more patient when it comes to the judge, but I really do think that like on the next line that you're going to read where he's saying that they're misunderstanding stuff. I don't know. I feel like he isn't being fair in some of the way he's wording the stuff. Like,
well, yeah, he's being. There's the revisited. He's listen. I don't know what to say about it because it really. Okay, there was something. I don't want to go down a rabbit hole. All right. But no, I'm being serious because there's here, let me just put this up there real quick, okay? Okay, I'm not going to go down a rabbit hole. But I'm going to show a couple photos, okay? And then we're going to move on. And I don't know. I feel like maybe this is why I feel like maybe this is why there's some bias, okay, towards a certain direction. You see this, okay? You see this. You see this. Okay. All right. Okay. I'm just going to show a couple pictures. I'm not trying to go down a rabbit hole, but there you go. Go down your own rabbit hole. We'll discuss it sometime. Just like we were going to discuss the stuff we talked about yesterday. We'll have to do that on the next show because there's always something we got to put in front. But yes, there you go. There's some pictures. Take some screenshots. Go do your rabbit holes and enjoy. All right, let me get back to this. So yeah, it does seem like there is some
undertone.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I don't want to be too, abrasive.
I have some faith in him still. I'm just a little grumpy.
I hope. I really do. I hope, because really, it's not about stuff we just shown you. It's not about it's about the victims. You know what I'm saying? It's about the victims. And the families and the community. And when it comes to the family, this is one thing I don't understand. And if we get into it later, I don't understand how you can defend. Don't talk bad about these roommates. Like, dude, I don't know. It's just weird. It's all weird. It's like I don't know. I'm going to keep my mouth shut on that. All right. Defendants' challenges misapprehend the type of expert Miss Ayers is. Much like law enforcement, Miss Ayers is a hybrid fact expert witness as opposed to a traditional expert. She's a hybrid, right? She will be educating the jury on crime scene investigation procedures to provide foundation for her testimony regarding the work she and her team performed in this case, as outlined in lab reports 25 and 11 and the accompanying field notes. Yes, she's going to testify. And there's going to be more testimony about, and I'm gonna crap when this drone video shows up on testimony. And okay, so what is the procedure right here when a glove falls on the ground and you pick it up? What's the procedure? What's the procedure if you touch other eye? Like, what is the procedure? What is the procedure? Oh, it's gonna be crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Hybrid witness. The testimony is factual in nature, despite the fact that it requires special knowledge, skill, experience, and training. Consequently, the absence of opinions in her disclosure does not limit her ability to testify to these matters. In addition, Ms. Ayer's rebuttal disclosure is replete with explanations about why and how the crime scene investigation was carried out at 1112 King Road. Her testimony will be allowed as disclosed. And then we got Special Agent Nicholas Balance. You know, now that we know all this, doesn't it seem really odd that it was already odd that Vargas had visits from them and the prosecution? But
Right.
it really makes me, because back then it was like, dang, they didn't want her to testify that this stuff could happen. Right? It was like, what? They didn't want her to testify that that stuff could happen, you know, that people could not be doing what they're supposed to when it comes to an investigation. And now that you're seeing all this with all these special agent documents that are coming out with specific people, it makes you wonder, like, what was that conversation that took place? Because I thought it was always a reprimand, like, you know, kind of said too much kind of thing. But then, man, you see all this stuff and it's like, was it, what kind of conversation was it really that took place? And I don't think she'll.
Yeah.
Huh?
I think that it was pretty scary. I mean,
I'm sure.
Friendly chat. Yeah.
I'm sure it had to be, because she didn't want nothing to do with it after that.
Yeah, and honestly, if it's getting to that level, I can understand just being that frightened. Like, I get it.
I mean, that's some serious,
Yeah.
That's shit. That's not local law enforcement. That's government. That's like damn. So, this is B Special Agent Nicholas Balance. FBI Special Agent Balance was primarily involved in the analysis of the cell phone records in the investigation. He is disclosed to testify in the state's case in chief about his analysis of AT&T cell phone records for defendant Madison Mogan and Zainer Knodel, as well as his own drive testing measurements to determine the use and general location of their cell phones between June 2022 and November 2022. Accompanying his initial disclosure is his 30-page CAS report, which discusses and maps the data he reviewed and the methodology employed. Initial disclosure Exhibit S-2A. His supplemental disclosure goes through each page of the CAS report to discuss its significance. He will also discuss topics pertaining to how cellular technology works, particularly how cell towers operate and how cell phones connect to the towers, how cell phone usage data is reflected in call detail records, and how those records provided by AT&T for the target cell phones in this case were used to create cell site maps showing their general location before and after the homicide and their direction of travel. In challenging Agent Balance's case-in-chief disclosures, defendant provides the affidavit of his cell phone data expert, Cy Ray. Mr. Ray complains that he is unable to identify Agent Balance's methodology, which was described in the CAS report. Mr. Ray states that the CAS report omits data and or fails to mention how certain AT&T data was utilized in his analysis, namely handoff data and drive test mapping, which was what they said he included in the beginning, and why some data was ignored. The data that when I was in Pullman, Washington, the southeast corner, I was connecting to the same tower that 1122 utilized. I could be in Pullman, and I was in Pullman, and I connected to that tower. that would be data that was ignored. He asserts this omitted data and methodology is exculpatory, and without it, he cannot fairly analyze Agent Balance's work. So he's basically saying, I see the answers. I just, the equations that are written down for the work are missing parts, and I don't understand how dude got to the answer.
Right.
It's missing part of the equation. According to the state, its disclosures sufficiently identify Agent Balance's opinions and the facts and data he relied upon, and defendants' concerns are fodder for cross-examination. In fact, in Agent Balance's rebuttal disclosure, the state marches through each concern outlined by Mr. Ray, offering additional explanation about what Agent Balance considered, including the handoff data and why. Defendant, however, asserts the attempted clarification in the rebuttal disclosure is insufficient, arguing that there is no disclosure as to why he has omitted 95% of the relevant coverage maps. 95% of the coverage maps for the drive testing. That's a lot. That's barely anything there.
That's pretty much all of it, yeah.
Known analysis, or that's like filling out your name and date on the paper. Bam! You got 5% right already.
Well done.
Well done. You
Did it.
Yeah. No analysis or mapping of the handoff data, and no documentation provided of the cast report's peer review process. However, the fact remains the defendant has all the facts and data that Agent Balance relied upon to form his opinions, which are expressed within his cast report. Initial disclosure. The data supporting S.A. Balance's opinions is located in the files of the cell phone records provided by AT&T in the drive testing files, which were provided to the defense through discovery. Identifying disclosed information relied upon by Agent Balance by description, AV number, and date disclosed. While his methodology might not be set forth with as much specificity as Mr. Ray, Mr. Ray would like rule. I can't even do unique New York. Rule 16 does not. Yeah, Ron Burgundy can. Unique New York. Unique New York. Unique New York. Yeah, I did it. Rule 16 does not require that detailed methodology be provided. It requires merely opinions, facts, and data for those opinions and the witness's qualifications. ICR 16B7. To the extent defendant believes Agent Balance omitted important data or is relying on insufficient data for his opinions, this is fodder for cross-examination, not exclusion. Moreover, if an opinion is not reasonably set forth within the disclosure, it will not be allowed.
I mean, I guess it's fair enough that he is saying it's fodder for cross-examination, but I don't know. Do you agree with that? What do you think?
I mean, how can you... I mean, that would be the cross-examination then, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I guess. Or
okay, does this not get included? You're asking him, okay, I don't see this information. Does this information typically get included with this stuff? Well, yes, it does. Okay, do you use that information to come up with the big picture? Yes, we do. Okay. Do you typically note, and do you typically do this, and do you typically do this? Well, yes, we do. Well, then how come it's not there? I mean, that would be, to say that, I mean, that it's kind of like the glove. Is that typically what you do? In a crime scene, is that typically what you do in a crime scene? Do you pick up something that was on the ground, stepped on multiple times, and then use that same glove that you picked up that glove with? You use the same one to get new gloves and, touch your equipment? Is that typically what you do? Well, yes. Okay. Well, I guess you have to look at all the other investigation that you've been a part of, because if that's typically what you're doing, well, then that means that who knows what else was contaminated and everything else that you were involved in as well.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily disagrry with him on that, is what I'm going to say. It's just, yeah, no, we'll get there.
I mean, because how can I listen? Agent Balance can say he gave everything that would be sufficient enough to be able to come to that conclusion, and I wouldn't know, and just like I wouldn't know at the same time if Cy Ray, if his 95% is blown out of proportion. Who knows? And that's what the trial's for. It's, show your cards. You guys are playing a poker game right now, and when trial comes, it's time to show us. Do you really have that full house? Do you really have that straight flush? Or do you really have, it's a poker game. And so we need to be able to see it. And so, just like with Ayers, just listen, you may not know, or you may but let's put it out in the open, because we're going off of what typically happens. This is what the classes are for when you go to school. This is what you go to training for. It's because people have already figured this shit out, and there's a way to do it, to make sure that mistakes don't happen and to make sure that the right thing happens. And so therefore, this stuff isn't going to be typically what takes place. And so if it's not typically what takes place, it should be shown to the world even more, because then it can really show people that are so headstrong about one thing and one thing only, that it's like, yo, this stuff does happen. Maybe you didn't experience it in your personal life, but other people have. And the stuff does take place. And you have to put that in consideration when you're looking at all this information in front of you,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Let me see here. Heather and Jared Barnhart. The Barnharts are digital specialists with Cellbrite who were retained by law enforcement to analyze defendant's cell phone and PC to determine user behavior and actions. They are disclosed to opine that the gaps in data on the two devices were abnormal. Attached to the disclosures is a report jointly authored by the Barnharts detailing their analysis and findings. Their CVs were provided as well. Defendant argues that the disclosure indicate that will testify to habit evidence, which he complains is not explained and is not accompanied by any opinions. Defendant's challenge is confusing. Nowhere do the disclosures or the report indicate the Barnharts will testify about habit evidence. Rather, the disclosures state that they will testify to their findings pertaining to defendant's activities on his PC and cell phone for a period of time before and after the homicides, and why gaps in data over that time period are abnormal. The Barnharts' opinions regarding these topics are fully set forth in their joint report. For example, they observed gaps in defendant's school PC that may be consistent with cleaning up or using anti-forensic methods to clear evidence. Among the gaps found were in the PC's event logs and system resource usage monitoring between November 11th, 2022 and November 16th, 2022, which Barnhart's opined was abnormal given that school was in session. Likewise, they located gaps in the PC's Chrome history during dates where downloads occurred on the system, indicating the user was private browsing or clearing browser history. Does anybody ever clean up their files and their computer, clear cache?
I do that a lot.
Clear cache? I mean, I have an optimizer on my computer. At once a week, I will click on it and have it clear everything out.
It's neater that way, and it just helps everything run properly.
It does, because things get buggy, and when you're dealing with StreamYard, it's already all sorts of buggy, and so you gotta, sometimes I do it a couple days in a row. If StreamYard's bugging out, they'll just clear it out again. What's up, everybody? Thank you for hopping in.
Yeah, no, I do that too.
It's like the Amazon click data.
Yeah.
Hey, even though you're not clicking on it, it's click data. Even though it's an advertisement for 5 different people that use it, that's click data. Together, the Barnhart's disclosures and joint report set forth all that is required by ICR 16b7, and there is no basis to exclude or limit their testimony. Michael Douglas. That's interesting. That's kind of cool.
Douglas?
Not Douglas. Douglas.
Douglas. Yes.
Mr. Douglas is a forensic accountant for the FBI and is disclosed to testify to financial transaction data for defendant, the 4 victims, and the 2 other roommates. His initial disclosure identifies by category and date range the financial transaction data he intends to testify to, and appends Mr. Douglas' report of specific transactions found within these individuals' financial data. His supplemental disclosure identifies more specifically that financial data associated with defendant that he intends to discuss, and also identifies video evidence obtained showing defendant's ATM withdrawals. Defendant contends that Mr. Douglas should not be able to offer any opinions because none are expressed in his disclosures. Specifically, defendant notes that Mr. Douglas's supplemental disclosure indicates he will testify to an analysis of defendant's spending habits. Defendant takes issue with this, arguing there is no spending habit opinion disclosed. What would spending habits? I don't understand that. What would spending habits
have to do with anything?
Yeah, it's like, why would him getting pulled over for not wearing a seatbelt have anything to do with the crime as well? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I think what they're trying to imply is that once he had bought everything, he kind of distanced himself from the card and started drawing out cash. I think that's what I understood from it.
Okay.
But, I mean, I think. I also wanted to get your opinion on that because I thought that's what they were trying to say. And that was really all I could think of that would make sense as to why they would note a change in habit.
I mean, what do you didn't go to Mexico? It's not like after the crime or before the crime you took out a whole bunch of cash through an ATM and didn't use it anymore after that.
Yeah, and I mean at the same time you're still using that account to draw cash, right? So it wouldn't be a smart thing to do. Like
it was his birthday. It was his birthday.
Yeah.
You know, the photo of him in the selfie with the thumbs up, that's supposedly a picture of a shirt that his mom bought him for his birthday, and that's the picture he sent to his mom.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it was maybe he was getting maybe he was getting, a bunch of birthday money from different people.
Yeah.
Got Cash Apps, Venmos. He put them in his bank and he'd go withdraw the money. I mean,
yeah, it's a good point about Tuesday.
But at the same time, I can see how. But listen, he didn't go to Mexico, so I could see that if he went back home. He went back home, so I don't know. We'll have to see like the whole spending habit, and it's I don't know. Opinions. I mean, if you're up there to testify, and they're like, what kind of how can somebody be like, yeah, he withdrew money 5 days in a row for this amount, and this amount, and then there was no activity, because listen, he went just a month after the crime. He was already, he was back home. A month and a couple days he was back home. So the next 2.5 weeks he didn't use his card. Okay. I mean, you got a full tank of gas. It doesn't take a lot of gas to get anywhere around there. It's all small, centrally located. So maybe you don't need to fill up except for once a week. And if you're not paying a bill and you're not really going anywhere and doing anything, well, then you wouldn't spend or use your card at that point. So I don't know if they were like, in your opinion, does that mean that he, in your opinion, did he kill these roommates because he didn't use his ATM for 2 weeks? I don't see how that opinion would even be taken seriously in the first place if it was allowed, right? So why? I'm sorry, I'm kind of coming in a different direction here, and have been with these. They shouldn't be allowed to offer this. Well, then why not show the people how much bullshit it is, right?
Yeah, with most of them, I agree.
Have the people answer for themselves.
Yeah, I think, like, I agree with you for a lot of them. It's the one with the toxicology that I think gets too confusing, and I felt that should have been, I don't know, something should have been done. With all of the others, I really do agree with you. Like, he keeps saying it's fodder for cross-examination, which is a new word for me.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, because it says right here, defendant only. I mean, how can you give people who unalive people with sharp weapons usually don't use their ATM after. I mean, come on now. Defendant only conducted ATM withdrawals on or after the date of the homicide and ceased using his debit card after November 10th. Whereas prior to November 10th, he had regularly used his debit card. There's no indication he will attempt to opine about the reason. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he was broke. He knew he only had a couple dollars in his account.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm not going to use it. Or I don't need to.
Yeah, and also if there's like suspicious activity on your account and stuff like that, then maybe you don't want to use your card. I don't know. Well, that is probably more of a South African concern, but yeah, like for safety as well.
I mean, how often I use my debit card? Sometimes it's a couple times a day. Sometimes I don't use it for a week and a half. I mean, it just depends. It just depends. And like I said, you don't have to go you can go grocery shopping, you can get gas, and you not need to use your card if you're not having automatic debits and all this other stuff. I mean, it just there is no indication. It's not like, normally people that commit these crimes do that with their ATM card. That's ridiculous. And who cares? If he wants to be that stupid and give that opinion, and a jury's going to go, oh my gosh, there really is cotton on the bottom of the cliff? Go ahead. You know what I'm saying? My gosh. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. All right, Shane Cox. This is the Amazon stuff. Mr. Cox is a litigation and regulatory manager for Amazon.com. His initial disclosure states Mr. Cox will testify to the content of documents provided by Amazon to law enforcement pertaining to an Amazon account associated with defendant. The document includes the order pertaining to an Amazon account. The document includes the order history between January 5th, 2023 to 2022 and December 13th, 2022 and click history. Oh, that word, click history. It's not even a click. It can
mean the same thing again.
A click can be included, but it's not all about a click. It doesn't have to be. I would hate to see if tampons popped up and well, Brian, this popped up on your Amazon click data. Tampons. What? Because his sister bought some on Amazon a couple weeks before, so it pops up as hey, you might want to rebuy this item. Hey, it's a suggested item since you bought this, and God forbid. Yeah. It's not. I hate how certain words like twist things, because it's not. If we didn't read those documents about the click history and the click data, we would have never known. We would have thought, damn, you got to click on it because it says click.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. Did you cover which document was it that came out before this batch that was discussing the delivery of the weapon? Did you see about that?
Oh, I don't remember.
Yeah, they said that it was delivered to him. But I still don't think that the later click activity is at all relevant.
It's no, I'm not. I wouldn't be surprised if listen, we don't know if the K-bar was the knife that committed the crime.
Yeah,
and when it comes to the sheath, it's like I said from the beginning about how it could have been something that was pawned off.
Yeah.
It could have been something that was pawned off and Maddie, her boyfriend or somebody's boyfriend bought it. Here. I know you can't handle a pew-pew, and there's all these machetes around here, Maddie. So here, I'm just going to give you this little teeny knife that's in a little protective sheath, and you just keep it next to your bed. That way, if something happens, at least you got something, And then that... So, of course, when it comes to this, he bought a K-bar. That means he committed the crime. Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch. Just because I buy a pew-pew doesn't mean I committed a crime.
No, of course not. And I do think that it's more likely that it belonged to Maddie. I've always agreed with that. But, I mean, you know how people are. They tend to want to jump on stuff out of context as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the click history is not really necessarily all clicks. The documents are referred by Bates number. His supplemental disclosure identifies with specificity the facts Mr. Cox will be testifying to from the identified documents. Is with his challenge to Mr. Douglas, defendant asserts that Mr. Cox should not be able to offer any opinion because none are expressed in his disclosure. Again, Mr. Cox is a fact witness and will not be offering opinions on the documents apart from explaining what the documents show. As outlined in his disclosure, there is no basis for exclusion. Maybe this is just a way to say, like, look, you can only testify to what you actually have included. You don't be testifying to a bunch of other stuff. But when you're testifying, you're going off the stuff that you've included, and then you're answering questions in your opinion from the defense or the prosecution. So I don't know. I just don't. Maybe this is just. I don't know. I don't get it. What? I don't get it. Maybe it's just procedure
Maybe.
stuff.
Yeah, like maybe it is normal. That's how it goes back and forth. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think maybe it is procedure.
I just don't understand why, defendant disclosed expert opinions from Brent Turvey that more than one assailant was necessary to accomplish the crime in the time frame alleged. Specifically, he asserts that there is direct and indirect evidence that attempts were made by the suspects to clean up the crime scene after the homicides, which would have taken far longer than the time interval alleged by the state, which is true. If you're committing that crime in that time frame and then you're gonna clean up,
yeah,
and then to not have any to the car, the Hyundai, the Hyundai that left and came and left, and there's no evidence in that Hyundai. Like, come on, how? In that time frame, there is direct and indirect evidence that attempts were made by the suspects to clean up the crime scene after the homicides, which would have taken far longer than the time interval alleged by the state. And 2, there were multiple weapons used against Kaylee and Xana. Against Kaylee.
Yeah, this confused me too. It took a while, but it's just against Kaylee, I think.
Yeah. Which is why I think the person started off at the 3rd floor, obviously gained access through the 3rd floor deck, sliding glass door, in my opinion, hid in that room with Murphy until it was go time. They were upstairs, did what they were doing. Commotion started. They went downstairs because they didn't want somebody coming up from behind them. Because think about it, that upstairs, that room and the hallway or the stairs going down is all tight, confined spaces. And the last thing you want to do is get into a confrontation where you're not prepared in that tight, small space. So that's why I feel the person went downstairs, attacked Xana and Ethan, and then went back upstairs, which would be the 2 different kind of weapons, injuries.
Yeah. So what, when they first started talking about the possibility of 2 people, for some reason, in my mind, I saw that, and I don't know why, as somebody being upstairs and somebody being, not downstairs, but on the 2nd floor. And this kind of clears it up when they talk about Xana and Ethan, that if there were 2 people, they stuck together.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know why. I just didn't see it that way before, but now, it really helped me understand it that way.
Well, because a lot of people thought that Ethan was asleep,
Yeah. Yeah. This part of it, of the whole document, I just find really chilling. Yeah.
I mean, think about the crying that was heard, and the crying that was heard.
Yeah.
There was and I'll have to find it. There was a recording. There was a recording from a long time ago that supposedly came from that security camera when it came. Because I don't see how people didn't hear. I don't see how. There had to be some, especially if Xana and Ethan appeared to have been attacked at the same time. That they come to that conclusion because there's going to be splatter from one victim on the other. Okay. And that's where they come up with that conclusion. That's how they figure that they were together, is because Ethan's ended up on Xana and Xana ended up on Ethan's. Now, how there was no noises, I don't understand that. And the only way that that happens, because if they got attacked at the same time, if you have a K bar, okay, you can do quick, but people are still going to be able to move. All right. Even though you're doing them real quick, you could do it quick for each one if they're standing together. It's only going to create so much damage. They're still going to be able to move. They're still going to be able to make sounds. Okay. When we're looking at what is said right here, to me, that says that it was a machete. Now, there's been a talks about machetes for a long time. We've showed you guys pictures from the very beginning. In the first month of the crime, we were showing you photos of even the roommates holding machetes, chopping pumpkins, and machetes in the corner of the room, and just machetes everywhere. That's how somebody would get attacked at the same time. And you wouldn't hear maybe that much, or they wouldn't have that much fight in them still, like you would if you were doing it with a K bar. With a machete, that's one freaking swipe, and it's gonna be hard for somebody to come back physically at you. So, when we're hearing like even the stuff from Mabbott, it was more like rips and tears. It's like not traditional, it was more like shh. And when you're talking about the two different weapons, we'll go back to the beginning again. The bat-shetty. One side's the machete, the other side's the bat. Blunt and sharp. Can't recognize Kaylee's face. Couldn't even recognize her face. So this stuff that appears to have been attacked at the same time, it's telling me it wasn't from a K bar.
Yeah, I agree.
Because something would have happened. Whether it was Xana or Ethan, there would have been some kind of something would have reciprocated back on the person committing the crime. Through his other expert, Rachel Orr, defendant has also submitted evidence that he suffers from developmental coordination disorder, which has resulted in deficits in fine motor dexterity and visual motor function. His attorneys argued in other motions that these deficits render it not possible for Mr. Koberger to have acted with the speed and coordination required to commit the crimes in the time frame alleged by the state. However, this has not been disclosed as opinion of any of the defendant's experts. Now, back to the visual snow stuff. We went through that stuff in the first couple months of the crime taking place. And when we read the visual snow, that's another thing that I should look up as an old show to check out. The visual snow. When we read through that, when it comes to visual snow, and what he was describing in those papers was the blood pressure activates the visual snow. Okay. Now, it's one of the reasons why he's vegan. He went on a vegan diet to try and control it some more, doing different exercises and things like that to try and control it. But a lot of it comes from the blood pressure. So when the blood pressure is up, and your blood's moving quicker than it normally does, that's when the visual snow will start to take effect. So what they're basically saying here is if he was going to have the speed and the coordination, the focus, and the strength and all that takes a lot of blood pressure. Your blood pressure is going to spike. Your blood pressure is already going to spike because if you're going to go in there to commit the crime, it's already spiking. Okay, it's already raising. So if you're going in there, you're committing the crime, and you're doing that with that speed, your blood needs to pump faster. That brings up your blood pressure. So therefore, it's going to increase the visual snow. So what they're saying is there's no way he'd be able to even see what the hell's going on to be that effective, to be that precise with that speed, and have that that effect at the same time. So we'll see how much the visual snow comes in when it comes to the court, the trial. In rebuttal, the state disclosed Detective Darren Gilbertson, a lead investigator for ISP for the case. The disclosure indicates he will testify that he and other investigators conducted timed runs at 1122 King Road to gain an understanding of the approximate time needed to have carried out the homicides. A report of the timed runs is attached to his disclosure. It was performed to determine if one person could carry out the homicides. His opinion will be that depending on the suspect's pace and route, he could have carried out the crimes in approximately 2 to 4 minutes.
So that's why I was saying that this section, when it comes to their response and basically just all of this, that's why I was saying this was the one that I felt like I kind of had a problem with, because I felt like a lot of what the defense was trying to say was getting ignored, and the responses were just kind of like going over what their complaints were. So I don't know. I just feel like to say that somebody can commit this crime in approximately 2 to 4 minutes because they've tested it that's misleading. I mean, how do they test that without, like, I don't know.
Would they have people trying to fight back? I mean, like, yeah, you're right. How do they? It sounds to me like, okay, go ahead and hit the timer when I tell you, Jimmy. All right, I'm ready. Okay, Jimmy. 3, 2, 1. Okay, I'm going up the stairs. Okay. There's that person. All right, there's that person. All right, Jimmy, I'm heading back downstairs now. All right, okay, okay, right here. Okay, I'm gonna go over here. Okay, Jimmy, hold on one second. Now let me go over here. All right, I'm walking out the house. All right, stop it, Jimmy. What'd we get? Yeah, there's no role play. Like, you got to be able to role play it, right? To really kind of determine. Right. That too. Beckles, don't forget you're cleaning up the crime. Yeah, my bad. Yeah. Oh shit, I left hold on, Jimmy. Add the. Yeah, I gotta clean.
That's the thing. Like, that's why I have an issue with this one, because I feel like it's not, like, this doesn't feel fair. Because, I mean, how can they possibly know how to time this?
They had to have taken a video, right?
I know, but also, look,
how do you replay it?
Yeah, and they're saying that they've tested it. And this is the time they got. But they are ignoring the motor dexterity, what that's called.
Yeah.
Like, this one bothers me. I just, like, with the others, I understand, it's for cross-examination. This one I feel is really not fair. I feel like it's misleading, and they should address the issues that are being brought to them. Because bringing up things like we tested it and some people were too passed out to fight back and that adds time, I just, that I don't feel is acceptable. This one, 2 to 4 minutes, and yeah.
I thought 7 was too quick.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, I always thought 7 was too quick. Because
it is too quick.
Unless you're in there with the machete. Listen,
But,
I can see 2 to 4 minutes with the machete. Oh, for sure. Because you're just swiping. And the damage that a machete would cause, fuck. 1-2 swipes, you're good. I'm just being honest. And I can see 2 to 4 minutes with that, but we're talking about a K-bar here.
Yeah.
It's going to take longer than that. That's just me. Like I said, I thought 7 minutes was too quick. Defendant argues Detective Gilbertson's testimony should be excluded because the state has failed to disclose how Detective Gilbertson is an expert in timed runs. The relevance is, again, you got to have all the people that are involved show up there, and then they have to answer for themselves in front of the jury. Come on. Important data, recordings, photographs, and notes of the experiment was not disclosed. Really? No recordings, photographs, or even notes was disclosed. Ha! So I can go up. Listen, if I want to go up and testify that the sun is blue, I don't have any notes on my experiment. I don't have any recordings. I don't have any photographs. I don't have any important data to show why, my opinion, the sun is blue. So why wouldn't I have to suffer that consequence if I'm the one that's dumb enough to go up and testify that the sun is blue? You know what I'm saying? Like, you got a jury right there. This is 2025. You got a jury right there, and they say, yeah, somebody could, in my opinion, somebody could do this in 2 to 4 minutes. And then they go, well, what kind of expertise do you have in that? Well, I don't know. It's just, I just timed it out. Oh, okay. And do you have any notes or recordings? No, I just, I don't know. I just did it. That's just my opinion. How can you really add that much investment into that opinion? I mean, we're talking common sense.
Yeah. No, I really do understand what you mean, and I'm glad that you
I
said
hope
that.
a jury's not that idiotic.
Yeah, look, I don't even.
I really do.
We have juries. I don't fully understand how it works, but this just makes me nervous. I feel like it's confusing. I really do.
I mean, if you don't, number one, that's bad if you don't even have notes.
Yeah.
Because that's part of your job. That's part of your schooling, is documentation. And if people aren't doing the one thing that is so easy to do, it's so easy to document what time, where, what, when, why. It's so easy to do that. It's so easy to do that. I don't understand why none of that exists. And a lot of this stuff, because there's a lot of stuff that, just take our word. Oh, okay. Maybe. And so when you're going back to Cy-Ray, maybe that's where he's coming up with the 95%. Look, there's a paper with the name and the date. That's it. That's 5%. That's where I would come up with 5% of work, is somebody put the name and the date on it. There you go. 2.5. So I don't know. If somebody wants to testify to that, let them. Whether Detective Gilbertson's opinions are relevant will depend on what Mr. Turvey and Dr. Orr opine to at trial. While Dr. Turvey does not specifically state in his report that one assailant could not have accomplished the murders in the short time frame alleged by the state, he infers as much through his opinion that there was evidence of cleanup efforts at the crime scene, which would have taken a significantly longer period of time Further, which, I mean, come on. It'll take you 2 to 4 minutes at least to clean up that spot. Furthermore, while Dr. Orr's report does not opine as to what deficits in fine motor dexterity and visual motor function defendant suffers from, to the extent she testifies to these deficits at trial, it may render Detective Gilbertson's opinions relevant to rebut any inference that defendant could have not single-handedly committed the crimes in less than 5 minutes, which, if you're, it's kind of like what you said, how are you going to duplicate the visual snow?
Right.
And did he? We don't know. We don't know. And yes, that would impact. Because if you can barely frickin' see out your eyeballs, because you got a whole bunch of white dots like static television that lost its signal, and you're trying to go through a dark house and be effective where nobody hears anything, and something don't happen to you, I don't get it. Further, given Detective Gilbertson's role as the lead detective for ISP in the investigation, the lead detective didn't even take notes. That tells you something. He is well qualified to offer his opinion on suspected movement throughout a crime scene. In addition, there does not appear to be a disclosure violation due to the lack of the underlying data. It was a simple experiment consisting of timing Detective Gilbertson moving through the house at a slower speed and a faster speed. His routes were described as well as his pauses to simulate the number of wounds each autopsy showed. It does not appear that there are any photographs or recording or any other data not already described therein. As for defendant's IRE 403 concerns, they are baseless. The state represents that there were no structural changes to the house when Detective Gilbertson performed his experiments. The fact that it was vacated or that Detective Gilbertson was familiar with the home, which would presumably allow him to conduct a faster timed run, is fodder for cross-examination, not exclusion, which he would. He would have a better idea of the layout of the house. And that's good to know that he did that while there was no structural changes, because we know how much drywall and flooring, walls and floors were removed because of all of the crime. As for the, sorry, go ahead. Were you going to say something?
No. I was just agreeing about the structural changes.
Yeah, it's good to know that. The state further notes that defendant stipulated to the house being torn down after Detective Gilbertson's report was disclosed. Thus, any concern of prejudice is in this regard in his own doing. Finally, defendant cites no basis for jury confusion. Consequently, Detective Gilbertson's disclosed testimony will not be excluded or limited at this time. Let me see. ISP forensic lab scientists. The state disclosed several forensic scientists from the ISP forensics lab to testify as experts in this case. The initial disclosure for each scientist describes the subject matter that expert witness will discuss, including the particular evidence and testing performed. The disclosures also reference each scientist's specific lab report by Bates number. In each disclosure, the state included the following caveat. This disclosure is provided as an aid. It does not encompass all findings, impressions, conclusions, or materials related to this expert's involvement in the case. It further does not in any way limit the scope of the expert's testimony. Furthermore, this expert may testify about findings, impressions, and or conclusions that he or she drew from the work of other experts who previously examined or handled the evidence in question. Oh, they should, Beckles. When you're having to deal with the DP case, I think they should, after, because it's all here. Exactly. It should all be included anyway. it's part one of your work, of anything that you do as a law enforcement official, is notes. Number one, before anything, there's notes, and there's always a debrief. Always a debrief. You always, when you're in law enforcement, you always have to debrief to a higher rank. Always. So the fact that there was not even any kind of debriefing going on as to who did what, and so everything's documented. This isn't just one person. This is the whole the whole department as a collective. The whole department. And then you got the leads doing the same thing. The leads are supposed to be the one that say, no, don't touch that. Don't touch that glove box.
Yeah.
Dr. Gary Dawson was disclosed in rebuttal by the state to testify to the degree of impairment of the victims, particularly Madison Mogen, at the time of the homicide. His expert report attached to his disclosure opines that Madison Mogen would have been markedly intoxicated from the effects of alcohol around the time of her passing. We did see it. There was a lot of, the grub truck. You saw the wobbles. She would not, even the wobbles on the way to the grub truck, she would not have had the ability to mount a meaningful response to a sudden threat to her person, which is why I think that she was probably the first one, or kind of second, because I feel like Kaylee was awake and she was there with the knife in the sheath, didn't know if she had to put it back in or not, was there to try and protect herself because there was something going on. And I don't think, I wonder if Maddie even woke up. You know what I'm saying? I think she was just passed out, and the movement wasn't going to wake her up anyway. I really feel like she was passed out.
Yeah, I think that's possible.
When it took place.
Yeah.
Defendant seeks to strike his testimony on grounds that it is improper rebuttal. He contends that none of his experts have challenged her ability to fight back or otherwise contested her toxicology levels. The state responds that the opinion rebuts defense expert Brett Turvey's opinion that more than one assailant was necessary to accomplish the crime in the time frame alleged. Specifically, the state argues that evidence Miss Mogen was unable to effectively fight back supports its position that one assailant could have completed the homicides in a short time frame. But what about Xana and Ethan?
Yeah, but what I wanted to ask was back on that page. I don't know if it got skipped. Where it says, go a little bit more. Where it says he further states that while he has limited his review to Madison Mogen, the same general principles apply to the other victims. Does that mean that he only looked at Madison, but he's assuming that the others were in the same condition, but he didn't look? What does he mean? Because that was something I didn't understand what they're trying to say with that.
Yeah, I well, yeah, because how could like we did hear, we've always thought kind of Ethan was asleep or whatever, and Xana came out first. How could he apply that to Xana?
Yeah, that's why I was so confused by this.
Like, how can you apply that? Because now we didn't see footage or hear audio of Xana and Ethan from that night. So we didn't see, any kind of we didn't see any kind of physical actions that would lead us like we did Madison, right? So I would think that Madison would be her own unique principle because of where Xana was found. Okay. And even the stories about where Ethan was at. Okay. That's completely different than Madison. Madison, like I just said a second ago, I feel like when the person came in, they might have got her first and then went after Kaylee, because it wouldn't have taken, she's right there. She's not moving and she didn't wake up, I don't think. And so it would be easy to do that a couple times, but, or you're attacking Kaylee first and you're realizing that the other one's not waking up, so you're not in that threat. But Madison is completely different because it's not like Xana and Ethan were passed out and, knocked out drunk and didn't wake up from, after being attacked. And so because of where they were at. So how can you apply, or even Kaylee? Like, how can you apply Madison as the default, if it's completely different than all the other victims? That doesn't make any sense either. So,
because I don't understand how you can look at one person and make a conclusion about 4 people from looking at one person. Like, yeah, I don't know.
That's like saying, I don't know. It's like saying, we only studied Bethany's actions from that morning, so it's going to apply to Dylan as well. That's
Right.
not. Each one is their own specific.
Yeah, that was something I really wanted to ask, because I wasn't sure if I was misunderstanding it or I just thought that was really weird.
It is weird to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I see that. Yeah, and then you go with, again, them getting attacked at the same time, Xana and Ethan. I'm sorry, that's a machete.
Yeah.
If nobody fought back, that's a machete. And they're all over the place down there too. They're all over. The person could have literally came in and picked up a machete off the damn corner of the room and used it. And honestly, the person that committed the crime probably already knew that there was machetes laying around anyway.
Yeah. I mean, that's terrifying, because you can walk in and look much less suspicious as well, because everything you suppose you're going to need is already there. I mean,
because think about it. If I'm going to commit this crime and I already know that there's weapons that are there, what do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to go there with my backpack. I'm going to have a change of shit, because as soon as I go in there, okay, I know I can go grab this weapon, right? And then I'm going to, okay, and then what am I going to do? I'm going to go to the backyard where I dump my backpack. I'm going to take my shit off real quick while I'm standing in the dirt. I'm going to take all my shit off while I'm standing in the dirt and fucking clean up.
Yeah.
I'm already going to have the garbage bag that's going to hold all of my items is already going to be opened up, squished, and placed to where I'm not touching it when I'm putting items in, and I'm not going to be touching it when I'm coming out of the house. It's already going to be set for me to put it's already going to be opened up in a little circle, opened up, right next to some trees, maybe a rock inside of it to weigh it down. So then when I'm taking my shit off, I'm just holding it right above it and dropping it right in there. So then when I do clean myself up, all of that stuff's going in the bag too. So then I got no dirty DNA on me. And I'm going to close up the bag and toss it in the garbage right down the block. And I'm not going to have the weapon because I used the weapon that was already there. I'm not going to have anything on me because I already cleaned up all my shit and I got new shit on. And now I'm back in my vehicle. Or I'm walking or I'm riding a bike or whatever.
Yeah. And time's up by 2 people.
I mean, if you're not looking at the car that might have been the real car, well, then you're not going to find the evidence anyway. So who says they even changed?
True.
Who says they even changed their clothes? I mean, hell, you had people bleaching their interiors right after the crime took place.
I mean, they could have the messiest car, but it hasn't been looked at. You're right.
Yeah, it hasn't been looked at. You got the person, I don't know. It's just there's so much that it leaves it open to interpretation, and it shouldn't be that way, especially with the DP. Let me see here. Rebuttal evidence is evidence which explains, repels, counteracts, or disproves evidence which has been introduced by or on behalf of these adverse party. What's up, David and Sean? Thank you for hopping in. And everybody else as well, too. Please hit the like if you haven't yet. It does help. Mr. Turvey has opined in his report that 2 assailants were involved in the homicide, particularly because he believes multiple weapons were used against Kaylee Gonsalves. Inferred in this opinion is that one person would not have had the time or ability to use multiple weapons in the time frame alleged when faced with 2 victims. If Miss Mogan was intoxicated to the point of being unable to fight back, however, it would be possible for one suspect to incapacitate her and then use multiple weapons in attacking Miss Gonsalves. However, whether Dr. Dawson's opinion is relevant depends on Mr. Turvey's testimony, on how Mr. Turvey's testimony unfolds at trial. Consequently, his disclosed rebuttal opinion will not be excluded or limited at this time. Now we're at Mowry. Lawrence Mowry, Jeffrey Tanzola, Neil Uhrig. Detective Lawrence Mowry, Agent Jeffrey Tanzola, and Detective Neil Uhrig are forensic detectives who were involved in the investigation of this case. Detective Mowry of the Moscow Police Department is disclosed to testify in the state's case-in-chief as an expert in the field of digital forensics and his role in the investigation. Specifically, he may testify to any of the subjects identified in his reports and may identify and testify to chain of custody, extractions, electronic data files, and location records identified in the materials made available to defendant. Initial disclosure P1. There are approximately 50 individual devices, electronic accounts, and digital data listed in the disclosures about which he will testify. And he will opine that he found no connection in that material linking defendant to the devices and data he analyzed. Jeffrey Tanzola is a special agent with the FBI who extracted, processed, and archived the contents of 7 identified digital devices belonging to the defendant. His is disclosed to discuss in the extraction, extraction, imagining, examination, processing, verification, transportation, and chain of custody of those devices. The disclosure references and appends his report of examination regarding his work in this regard. Neil Uhrig is a forensic examiner and detective sergeant for the Post Falls police department who extracted, processed, and archived the contents of computers belonging to the victims and 2 other roommates of 1122 King Road. And I'm surprised that they never gave Steve G. Cayley's laptop back.
Right.
Still, his case in chief, that's one of the things he still wonders himself too, is about the laptop. His case in chief disclosures likewise state he will discuss. The only thing I can think of is that it's part of a bigger investigation with another agency. His case in chief disclosures likewise state he will discuss extraction. Did I just read that? Hold on. He will opine that there was no connection found between the listed devices and defendant, which we already knew that there was no connection to the victims. His initial disclosure references and appends his officer report regarding his work in this regard. Defendant argues that each of the 3 experts' testimony must be limited to what has been disclosed. The devices, data examined, and processes used, other than the disclosed opinions by detectives Mowry and Uhrig that no digital connection was found between defendant and the residents of 1122 King Road. Defendant argues no specific testimony regarding what the devices and data depicted should be allowed. To this end, defendant notes that the state has not identified in the disclosures the specific portions of the identified devices and data that these experts will testify to. In response, the state clarifies that it is not seeking to elicit opinions from these witnesses. Rather, it intends to elicit testimony about their qualifications necessary to perform the extractions and analysis of the identified devices and data. It further represents that defendant has been provided with all of the data analyzed. There is no basis to exclude or limit the detectives' disclosed testimony. It is clear that they will be testifying to the facts of their investigation, not providing traditional expert opinions. There is no need, therefore, for the detectives to identify specifically what the devices and data depict. This is factual in nature, and defendant has been provided with all of the material the detectives reviewed. And then J. Rob Hill. Rob Hill is a special agent with the FBI who reviewed surveillance footage from hours before and after the homicides occurred, depicting what law enforcement believes is suspect vehicle 1. Agent Hill was disclosed to rebut opinions by defense expert Steve Becker that it was not possible to ascertain from the surveillance videos whether a front license plate was missing from the vehicle. You really can't tell. And I'm sorry, they're 2 different vehicles. They're not the same vehicle, and I'll always, until I see some other photos, I'm sorry, the photos I've seen, they're 2 different vehicles. One has fog lights, is shorter to the ground, and is a different color. Let me see here. Agent Hill's rebuttal references the full summary of video depicting suspect vehicle 1, which has been disclosed to the defendant as a basis for his opinion that suspect vehicle 1 did not have a front plate. He then lists the specific camera locations and timestamps he contends to show a clear view of a missing front plate. He then lists the specific camera locations and timestamps he contends show a clear view of a missing front plate. His rebuttal also states he will provide testimony about the significance of that. So let me pull that photo up real quick. Just if nobody's seen it, we're going to pull this photo up real quick. Okay, so this is both vehicles. Hold on. Okay, so this is both vehicles. Again, they're two different vehicles to me. There's two different back windows. The cars are two different colors. This has fog lights, that don't. We already went through it before. We can go through it in the future if anybody needs extra. But how in the hell do you see if it's got a front plate?
No way.
I don't know how you get to that conclusion.
Yeah.
But I can understand how you get to that conclusion when you think this car is the same car as this car. I can understand how you get to the conclusion. Yeah, these are the same cars and it ain't got no front plate. Okay. Especially when the back of a Hyundai Elantra doesn't light up like that.
Yeah.
Okay, dude. All right, so let me switch back to the document here. Defendant contends that since Agent Hill has not offered any opinion as to any videos other than those specific clips referenced, his testimony must be limited to those identified clips. However, Agent Hill's disclosed opinion is not restricted to the identified clips. It's expressly based on the full summary of video of suspect vehicle 1, with the identified clips being the most clear. Thus, the court will not limit his testimony. So again, this has got to be some kind of it's got to be some kind of regular procedure or something, because I don't listen. We're in real freaking trouble. We are in real trouble if our justice system can take expert witness testimony on something that isn't provided. To me, it's like, yeah, he can't testify outside of the picture that they're going to show. Well, then how can you? I mean, come on. If you're up there and you're like, yes, there's a clear, let me show this photo again. Yes. Sorry, I have to move stuff. Come on, StreamYard. Damn. So if I'm up there testifying and I'm like, yeah, you can see that there's a timestamp in a photo where you can see it where there's no front plate. Is this the photo that you're referencing? No, this is just another photo that I'm talking about. Okay, do you have the photo, or did you disclose the photo that you're referencing to when it comes to not being able to see the plate? No, I haven't. Okay, well then how does that even like the jury? Wouldn't you expect the jury to go, well, if he's not showing the picture and he's not if a jury's gonna believe that, we're in real big trouble. If that's like me saying the sun is blue and I don't have any paperwork or video or recordings or any kind of data or notes or nothing, but trust me, the sun is blue. Bam! Oh my gosh, the sun's blue! Really? Really? Yeah, there's the full photo. There's the full photo. We've already showed it. This is a photo showing both of the cars. It's the same damn thing. I took the full photo and I took another full photo and I cropped it together.
Yeah, there's been extensive coverage of that.
Oh yeah, as soon as it dropped, we had what's up, Mishy girl? Actually, we had this photo. We were going through this photo first, and then we went, and then we went through this one. Let me see here. What are you talking? It's already hard to see this stuff already. But even if there's a
I don't.
Lenta's right there. So if there's a car driving by, there's a car driving by. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was saying that as well. Because I mean, it's the same picture. It's just like focusing on the comparison.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
So we're gonna go through. I don't know if we're gonna get to the Steve G stuff because we're already 2:15 in.
Do you want to go through this document or?
Oh yeah, this is the one I really wanted to go into before. There's other ones I still haven't got into yet. The other text messages in 911 calls, I don't think we even got into those ones from before yet either. I bet it. I didn't listen to the whole thing, Michiguru. I was gonna watch it this morning, but I'm sure this document. This is 25 pages. I'm sure it's gonna take another 2 hours and some to go through it. So I don't think we're gonna have the time to go through it.
Well, we can cover it on the next one because it is interesting as well, for sure.
Well, I might do it tonight too. We'll see. I might get back on tonight. So I'd need to do some night shows too. Let's see. Order on state's motion. Now this is with the text messages and the 911 call. Let me see here.
I will be right back in a sec. Just 1 minute. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Hold on 1 second. Let's see. Okay, K-bar shit. Okay. All right. So, let me see here. So the introduction, DM and BF are the two surviving roommates of 1122 King Road. At the time the homicides were believed to have occurred, DM saw a masked intruder in the house and began calling and texting the other roommates, including BF, approximately 8 hours after DM saw the intruder. BF called 911 from her phone before the court is the state's motion to allow the text messages by DM and BF testimony about their conversations with each other about what DM saw and the 911 call. The state argues that these communications are either not hearsay or qualify under one or more exception to the hearsay rule. It also asks that a transcript of the 911 call be provided to the jury to view while listening to the audio. Defendant challenges several of the communications and objects to the use of the transcript. That's interesting. Why would they? I mean, I would want a transcript in front of me. Hell, while we're listening to it, we'll have a transcript up. We'll have closed captioning going. What's up, Cyber? We'll have closed captioning up. There's a reason for that. Oh, hold on 1 second. Let me switch.
There we go. So we're switching the topic here. All right. Oral argument on the motions was held on April 9th, 2025, after which the court took the matters under advisement. The court finds that some of the hearsay statements on the 911 call do not qualify under the exceptions cited by the state and therefore must be redacted. However, the balance of the 911 call, as well as the texts and conversations noted herein, are likely admissible, provided that the requisite foundation is laid at trial. The transcript will be allowed as demonstrative aid, again, assuming proper foundation is established. I mean, I would want one. Let's see here. Whether a standard falls whether a statement falls within the present sense impression or excited utterance exceptions is a question that is left to the sound discretion of the trial court, giving consideration to the totality of the circumstances. State versus Stover. Use of demonstrative aids is also a discretionary determination. State versus Weigel. On discretionary matters, the court must, 1, correctly perceive the issue as one of discretion, 2, act within the outer boundaries of its discretion, 3, act consistently with the legal standards applicable to the specific choices available to it, and 4, reach its decision by the exercise of reason. Lomborg versus My Fun Life. After spending the evening out, roommates DM and BF, Kaylee Gonsalves and Madison Mogan, returned to their home at 1122 King Road in the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022. At approximately 2 a.m., they met up in Kaylee's bedroom and talked for a while before going to bed. Whoa, okay. Hold on a minute. Okay. This is not making sense here.
Yeah.
Because Bethany said that she saw Ethan and Xana home by 1:45.
Mm-hmm.
And right here it's telling you that DM, BF, Kaylee, and Madison, which makes me wonder, was DM and BF already in the damn car when Kaylee and Madison got in the car from the grub truck? And then it also says that they didn't, when they got there, Xana and Ethan were still out.
That's a lot, but still in the car, I think is a good point.
Yeah, I bet they were in the car when they picked up Kaylee and Maddie. When they got picked up at the grub truck, I bet they were in the car.
And then they were all together, and then they went from there to Kaylee's room.
They went up to Kaylee's bedroom and hung out for a while. And then the roommates debated going out to the food truck for a late snack, and that's why DM sent a text a little after 2 to, why do they keep calling him an Uber driver when Steve G says, private, Mr. Eric, to see if he was driving. And then the girls just decided to go to bed.
Doesn't that all just seem weird? Like, and then after all that, they just each went to bed?
I really wonder what Adam was told.
Yeah.
Because, man, this is not according, because before it made it sound like BF was with Xana and Ethan,
Exactly. Yeah.
And they all walked home together.
I mean,
This is a completely different
also-
timeline.
That's what I assumed as well, because I mean,
That's
if
what it
she was
says in
able
the
to
PCA.
confirm where they were and when they got home, they would have to have all been together. It doesn't like this doesn't even seem like the same day, because now they're in Kaylee's room, and Ethan and Xana aren't even there. It's completely different.
It is different because when you're going off of Brett Payne's Exhibit A,
Yeah.
right here.
Yeah.
On the evening of November 12th, 2022, Chapin and Kernodle are seen by BF at the Sigma Chi house on the University Idaho campus. Address from approximately 9 p.m. to 1:45 a.m.
And if she's able to confirm when they got home, she had to have gone home with them, because she can't be everywhere.
Well, this is what it's telling me, is that maybe she did see him until 1:45, but there's no way she saw them return to the King Road residence, because if you're seeing Ethan and Xana from 9 to 1:45, that means that you got picked up from the Uber driver at 1:45 in order for you to be there in the vehicle when Uber driver picked up Maddie and Kaylee at the grub truck at 1:56. This is a manipulation from Brett Payne also, because the manipulation is that at 1:45, also estimated that approximately at 1:45 a.m. that they returned to the King Road residence. Well, then how can they return to the King Road residence when they weren't even home after 2 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
So how, when this is under facts, it says facts right here, facts. How is this used? There, like, it's already one thing that this document had so many errors in it when it came to locations, street names, even the state that certain cities were in. This thing had a bunch of typos and errors. How can you say that BF also estimated that approximately at 1:45 they returned to the King Road residence? Because what Bethany probably said was, I don't know what time they got home. I don't know what time they got home. I wasn't there. When I was home, when I got back home and we were up hanging out in Kaylee's room, they weren't back yet.
Yeah, I think that a lot of words have been put into their mouth through that PCA. And I mean,
that's messed up.
Very. I mean, we know that there were a couple of versions of it, people say, but at the end of the day, that was what was signed off on for this whole thing to be put into motion.
Yeah,
and
that
it's
two different scenarios.
Exactly.
Two different scenarios. Because this right here, like, where does it say this? Where does it say any of this? Who was with who? And what time they got home? And they were up in bed, and then the fifth roommate was out with her boyfriend.
Yeah.
The fifth roommate? the fifth roommate? Because right here, it says right here, BF also stated that Chapin did not live in the King Road residence, but was a guest. Well, if it stated that, well, then who's the frickin' other roommate? You got Kaylee, Maddie, Bethany, Xana. That's 4. Who's the 5th?
With Dylan.
Dylan, Kaylee, Maddie, Xana. Who's the 5th? Because they said the 5th roommate, Xana. Who's missing? Because it says right here, is it Dylan? Okay, yeah. Dylan, Kaylee, Maddie, Bethany. Okay.
Yeah.
Why did I think there? 4 victims.
Yeah. It's an easy.
All right. My bad.
No.
Let me see here. The roommates debated going out to a food truck again, which is what prompted the text to see if he was driving. Ultimately, the girls decided to just go to bed.
I just find that very abrupt. Like, they just all went to bed. And I mean, we know that they weren't asleep when they say they were, but it also, like, it doesn't feel like there's just a huge gap in that logic. Like, they were thinking of getting food and then they just didn't.
Well, because, here's the thing. His Taco Bell receipt was a completely different time. He was out later than that. So why he wouldn't be able to, or why he wouldn't want to, I don't understand.
Mm.
And then what makes it even more curious is this contact that was added at 3:51 then. Because if Eric didn't come back, because that's why you ultimately decided to go to bed. So if he didn't come back, why the contact added? That's what really don't make sense now, because I thought that she didn't get home until 3:51 based off of the other documents. Now it says right here that they were all together.
Yeah.
They were all together and returned home.
But there is missing time there, because I mean, they're discussing this at 2:10 a.m. and then it doesn't really explain when they decided to go to bed, because if you read the PCA, it only says that the surviving roommates can confirm that everyone was either in bed or in their room by 4 a.m. So we're still missing time where they're not really stating where everyone was, because we know that at least Dylan was not in bed or asleep. Well, maybe she was in bed, but she definitely wasn't asleep. So there is a gap that they're not mentioning.
Yeah, from 2 to 4.
Yeah.
And the contact added at 3:51, 9 minutes later, you hear strange noises and crying coming from the bathroom.
Yeah.
She opened her door at one point, saw a man dressed in black with a ski mask on walking by her bedroom door. She then placed calls and texts to her other roommates to see if they were awake. Only BF, who resided on the ground floor, answered. They spoke once for 24 seconds, during which BM told BF she thought she heard something. They spoke again a minute later for 41 seconds when DM told BF she saw a man in a ski mask leaving the house. They exchanged the following text messages. Okay. What's going on? Yeah, dude, I'm freaking out right now. No one's like, shut the fuck up. Over his head. My phone is going to die. I'm screwed, though. Why would you be screwed?
I think that's been interpreted as I'm scared, just because I saw that somewhere else. I think in this document,
Scared
They
doesn't have a
interpreted.
W.
I know, but I think that's how they took it, or the judge took it. I don't know.
I don't know how you could take it that way. Scared doesn't have a W in it. So
Yeah. We'll get to it, but I think he did.
you know, that. So during the foregoing exchange, DM also attempted contacting Ethan Chapin through Snapchat. She again tried calling Kaylee and Xana, but neither responded. DM then exited her room and began running towards BF's bedroom. On her way, she noticed Xana lying on the floor of her bedroom with her head towards the wall and her feet towards the door. DM thought Xana was drunk. Really? You heard crying. You saw a guy dressed in black, and then you see your friend laying on the floor.
Yeah, and honestly, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I just feel like if you are crazy enough to put all of that aside, like the things you've heard and seen, and you think that person's drunk, like I know I would still check on that drunk person. Like she's on the floor.
If you hear crying, you would want to check.
Yeah.
You know, if you hear crying, don't you want to like make sure your friend's okay? And then if they're not answering and they're laying on the floor,
yeah,
and there's a strange guy in your house, and if you're scared,
right?
No. Once DM arrived at BF's room, they locked the door and both made additional unanswered calls to the other roommates. At 4:32 a.m., DM again texted Kaylee, "Please answer." There is an S in please, with no response. Exhibit D1, between approximately 5 a.m. and 6:30 a.m., DM engaged in activity on her phone, primarily creating, editing, and deleting images and videos. Creating, editing, and deleting.
Very busy.
She is so effing suspicious, man.
I know.
Her phone activity then ceased until 8:05 when DM accessed Instagram for a few minutes. At 10 a.m., DM again accessed Instagram and communicated over Snapchat. And then at 10:23, she texts Madison asking, "Are you up?" She received no response. DM continued to access Instagram and Snapchat until 11:29. When she texted Kaylee, "Are you up?" Again, there was no... It's almost like somebody is sending these messages to create an alibi for themselves.
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
You know, I'm going to send these text messages that make it seem like I'm concerned, but really they don't make sense with the events that take place. And it's you trying to create that alibi or scenario that you didn't know, which is a bunch of BS. Which DM thought was strange because Kaylee and Madison were always early wakers. DM continued accessing various social media sites, including checking Ethan and Xana's Snap Map locations.
What is that?
Why would you? It shows where they're located.
So is
location.
It like your contacts?
That's one of the problems, and that's why Snapchat is a really bad app for children, because there's a lot of times they don't even know it, and there's people that can access your location off of it, and you don't even know that your location is set up. And so that's where a lot of these crimes take place, with Snapchat and children is because they don't know, and then the predators have a location on them. And so it was that her trying to probably, I don't know. I don't understand why you would check. I don't understand why you would check their Snap Map locations because they're in the same damn house.
Yeah, and also, why would you need anybody to confirm what time they got home if you have access to that kind of movement?
Yeah, and plus you're making videos and taking photos and then deleting the shit.
Yeah, that is weird.
Why are you deleting it? And then you got this right here where at approximately 11:40, DM's father texts her about scheduling a time to chat, to which DM responded, he's probably like, yeah, I can chat at about this time when I'm on break. She also received 2 texts from a person named Jenna stating, bro, and do you guys need me to come get you? But still, no call to 911 because you have to have somebody else tell you to call 911 in order for you to call 911. At approximately 11:50 a.m., DM called her friend EA and asked her to come over and check the house because she was scared. EA and her boyfriend, HJ, came over. They met DM and BF at the bottom floor of the house. Together, DM, BF, and HJ started to walk up the stairs to the second floor. When they reached the second floor, HJ went to the kitchen to grab a kitchen knife. Why is that? Because as soon as he got on the second floor, he noticed something, how messy it was and needed some kind of protection.
Yeah.
When he came back out, DM saw Xana again for a split second. And I just started bawling because I thought she had just I don't even know. I thought maybe she was still just drunk and all asleep on the floor. BF also saw Xana lying on the floor. And that's when you hear the shock in the 911 call. And then you hear Hunter tell DM and BF to get out.
Except here they're putting the get out before the call.
Then I don't know. See, none of it. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. That's weird stamps that they have on there. HJ told DM and BF to get out. EA, who had started up the stairs, also turned around after HJ instructed her not to come any further. They both went outside. Shortly afterwards, HJ exited the house and told them to call 911. He was pale white and mentioned something about someone being unconscious. At 11:56 a.m., BF called 911 from her cell phone and spoke to Carolina Calvin, the 911 dispatcher. The call lasted 4 minutes and 11 seconds. During the call, the phone was passed around to different individuals, including BF, DM, HJ, and an unidentified female speaker. Heavy breathing and crying can be heard throughout the call. BF spoke first, stating something is happening. Something's happened in our house and we don't know what. States Exhibit S-2 911 call audio. BF attempted to provide the address of the house to dispatch, but could not continue. At that point, an unidentified female speaker took the phone and provided the address and BF's phone number. The following exchange ensued. 911 operator, okay, and tell me exactly what's going on. Female, one of the roommates who passed out and she was drunk last night. She's not waking up. So Bethany's kind of distancing herself from being a roommate there. Oh, and they saw some man in the house last night. Yeah. And are you with the patient? Hi, this is DM. Okay, I need someone to keep the phone. Stop passing it around. Can I just tell you what happened pretty much? What is going on currently? Is someone passed out right now? DM, I don't really know, but pretty much at 4 a.m., 911. Okay, I need to know what's going on right now. If somebody is passed out, can you find that out? DM, yeah, I'll come. Come on. B, we got to go check, but we have to, if she's passed out, she's passed out. What's wrong? She's not waking up. HJ, Xana. DM then informed dispatch that Xana was 20 years old. At that point, HJ took the phone. Dispatch asked him if she was breathing, to which HJ answered no. Law enforcement arrived at that point, and after confirming with DM that the responding officer had a defibrillator, dispatch ended the call later. And approximately 1:04 p.m. that day, DM received a vandal alert regarding the homicide. So is that what are they going to say, that DM didn't even know that there was a homicide until she got the vandal alert at 1:04 p.m.? Why are they even putting that in there?
I have no idea, because it's the first time it's being mentioned. And I mean, if anybody's going to believe that with all of the, commotion and the police arriving, I don't know. I don't know why it's there.
It's like adding this. It's like adding this in the PCA Exhibit A. BF also stated that Chapin did not live in the King Road residence. Okay. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Why is that there? Just like this. Why is this there? Later at approximately 1:04, DM received a vandal alert. Dude. And this is what's messed up about it all too. Right after the crime, right after the crime takes place. And right after the crime takes place, and this is what they did. Right after the crime takes place, and this is what they did.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
How dare you? I'm sorry. Act like you give a fuck.
Yeah, it's attention seeking. I know.
It's messed up, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me get back to this. Analysis. The state seeks to admit DM's and BF's phone records from November 13th, 2022, including call records and text messages, as well as illicit testimony by DM and BF regarding their communications with each other on November 13th, 2022, that they testified to before the grand jury. The state also seeks to admit the 911 call and the official transcript thereof. The state argues these records and communication are not hearsay, or they are accepted from hearsay as excited utterances or present sense impressions. Defendant objects, arguing that apart from HJ's statement to 911 that Xana was not breathing, the exceptions do not apply to the hearsay statements. The court finds the bulk of these statements are likely admissible, with 3 exceptions of statements made during the 911 call. Hearsay is out-of-court statement admitted to prove the truth of the matter asserted. To be hearsay, the statement must be intended as an assertion of fact and offered by the proponent for purposes of providing the truth of the assertion. If a statement is hearsay to be admitted, it must fall under exemption. This is common knowledge. I'm just going to skip ahead a little bit. try and save some time here. And I do apologize. It's hard for me to see your guys' chats when I'm reading these documents too.
It's quiet at the moment.
Let's see. Declare. Let's see. Statement is time. Okay. Likely should be drawn. There's timestamps with the statements, so there's, when they're discussing the statements, there's already timestamps to show. Let me see here. Are likely admissible. Well, they're going to be admissible. The text messages, the activity, it's going to be admissible. I don't know why. I don't understand why it wouldn't in the first place. Why it wouldn't be admissible.
Yeah.
It's part of the events that are taking place that day.
I mean, it's really important.
Yeah. It's the events that happened between the crime and when 911 was called. It's pretty important.
Very. And the 911 call itself as well. It's crucial. I don't understand why they would think otherwise.
Let's see here. DM text Uber driver at 2:10:29 to inquire if he is driving. The state seeks to introduce this text to establish a timeline, specifically to establish DM was awake and texting at 2:10 a.m. Defendant does not directly challenge the text because it is not offered for the truth of the matter asserted or not an assertion of fact. The court finds it is not hearsay. I mean, it's not hearsay. It's a damn text message. It's what was documented. It's not hearsay. It's documented. Now, whether she's being truthful or not as to what she knows or doesn't know or what she's trying to discuss, well, that's another topic. Okay, text messages. The state argues that the 4-minute series of texts within one are admissible. Yeah, they should be. Defendant suggests neither exception applies because there's no evidence that they were sufficiently startled by the events. Well, not a frozen shock phase.
No.
Because you're not doing that in text messaging. Or creating videos or taking photos or deleting things either.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, this is where they say stating she was scared. So that's why I thought that they took that text to be scared. I
mean, people can take it how they want, but there's not a W in scared.
The letters, yeah, I know.
And there's a W in screwed. I can make it however I want to make it. It's first the present tense sentence impression exception does not require a startling event. I mean, where are they going to get frozen shock phase? She also states, so she first texts that no one is answering, which describes the results of her calls to the other roommates just moments before. She also states what she is immediately feeling, confused, freaked out, and scared. And that's where you say that, but they're going to say that. Screwed. Over what she just saw and heard and the fact that none of her roommates are answering. She further describes the intruder she saw wearing a mask, ski mask or something over his forehead and mouth. She also relays on the phone. She also relays that her phone is going to die. Thus, the statements are all likely admissible as present, which they should be. Okay, so it says right here, let me see. In addition, these events are sufficiently startling to both DM and BF for purposes of the excited utterance exception. DM and BF are young female college students and the self-described scaredy cats of the house. Scaredy cats of the house.
That's apparently how they would describe themselves. I don't know.
Well, that's crazy because Dylan walks around taking photos and videos like she's a gangster.
Right? Exactly.
Really? She acts like she's a G.
Yeah.
It's funny how the people from small towns act when they ain't been in a big city. Because when you're in a big city, there's rules and regulations and lit and all that shit that you need to know before you even do any kind of representation. They were awoken from sleep after a night of drinking, with DM reporting that she heard noises and saw a masked intruder in their home. None of the other roommates were responding to their calls and texts, further indicating something was amiss. It would be potentially terrifying for anyone, including these young women, to argue that they would have run out of the house or called someone else for help had there really been startled. Unempathetically ignores these circumstances and the trauma and confusion they were evidently experiencing, which likely offset logical thought. Indeed, the girls' fear and confusion is evident in their words, with both questioning what was going on. DM stated she was freaked out, scared, and confused, and BF attempting to get them together quickly for safety. They were clearly under stress and attempting to make some sort of sense of a frightening situation. Really, they wasted a lot of fucking time doing so. Because that conversation took place shortly after 4 a.m. So you're saying for 7.5 damn hours, you were clearly under stress and attempting to make sense of a frightening situation? For 7.5 fucking hours? Excuse me.
Yeah, and also, again, what happened to the frozen shock phase? Like, things can't just change.
That's why I always say it was a medical term. It was an interview from a counselor at the school. The counselor at the school is going to use the frozen shock phase term.
Yeah. I think it came. Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I think it came from that detective Gooch, because some of the documents indicate that she sort of suggested to Dylan that it had been a frozen shock phase by explaining to her that it was trauma. And I suppose that she has that counseling training as well. So that's where it would come in.
Yeah, manipulation.
Yeah.
You need it, you know. I just don't understand how 8 hours goes by and you're an investigator and you don't show up with more questions.
Right?
You don't show up with more questions for the roommates. I just don't understand how.
Yeah, it's like all they have to do is say, we're the scaredy cats of the house and we were really confused, and everybody's like, oh, shame. It's terrible for you. But they're alive.
It's a joke.
Yeah.
Let me see here 1 second. Let's see. Additionally, the time period that elapsed between what DM saw in her communications with BF about the same was a matter of minutes. The text message exchange lasted approximately 4 minutes, with the text messages occurring in rapid succession. This timeline left no time for the reflection or fabrication, which is ultimately what IRE 8031 and 8032 seek to protect against. Consequently, the court concludes that the assertive text messages within this 4-minute period are likely admissible, which they should be. Let me see here. I'm just going to skim through some of this just to try and save some time. Present. It's not command. It is not. Asking, are you still up? Approximately an hour later, DM texts Kaylee, are you up? The state argues, are not hearsay. They're not hearsay. Let's see. Okay, the state contends that the text messages between DM and her dad, they're not hearsay. It's documentation. Verbal communication. Okay, verbal communication. That's not hearsay either, unless Bethany's answering for Dylan or Dylan's answering for Bethany. But when you're answering as a person that participated in part of a conversation, that's not hearsay because you were in that conversation. You can speak to what you said and what we're told. You can't speak on somebody else. That's where the hearsay comes in. So I just, let's see, they were admissible. They should be. To the extent DM and BF seek to testify about the content of the calls, texts, and conversations about what they perceived during the 4:30 timeframe, they could be potentially admissible under the exceptions cited by the state. They better be, because when they're on the witness stand and I'm hearing the reasons why things did or did not take place, I think a lot of people are going to want to know the reasons for that. Again, how investigators don't go into it further and allow these witnesses to contaminate themselves, as in after the first day they were questioned, they were allowed to be in the same hotel room, same residence, and conversate with one another, all those different witness statements, and it's just contamination of the mental, because you're allowing these witnesses to mix their own experiences with somebody else, and then obviously that's contaminated, because then it can morph whatever you're thinking about or going to remember, and it can add or take away things. And so it is contamination of the mind when it comes to the interviews. Let me see here. The 911 call, obviously, it's not general. It's not hearsay. Squarely with the present. Okay. When it comes to the 911 call saying something happened in our house. Yeah. It's a present impression, because they were present. Therefore, let me see. Not offered to the truth. One of the state argues present impression. Of course, it is. Let's see here. This is so common sense.
Yeah, most of this document is.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find the parts that aren't. Let's see, there's...
I'm trying to help.
Okay, they had a female speaker and they don't know who the female speaker was. That's crazy. Well, that's what happens when there's no debriefing of information. Does not apply. About the incident. They're talking about nervousness in the voice. I mean, when you hear the 911 call, there's a lot of different emotions, whether they're real or not. Pretty much first impression, whatever. Present impression, yes. DM to find out. Okay, it's basically just breaking it all down, saying, yeah, this is not hearsay. This is present impression, which is all obvious. I mean, court finds. Let's see, defibrillator, and I don't know. The whole defibrillator thing was weird to me. Let me see here. Just not a trans. What's up, Sherry? Puts the call into context. A transcript. It's got to be allowed. I don't know why it wouldn't. They're talking more transcripts. Why they're used? It's common sense. Can be used demonstrative aid, which it should be. Why not? Let's see. Based on. Okay, and then
when it comes to the table, where they have all of the calls and like all the activity, there was one thing I noticed. I think I did a video on it a while ago. So when they say that Dylan saw whatever it is that she saw, and then they often say she attempted to reach out to her roommates, and then they often say as well that Bethany was the only one who answered her. So I think that they're referring to that call at 4:19, but why was Bethany calling her? That's something I've been wanting to ask, because it's like Bethany would be calling her to ask her what she saw. Why are they saying that she reached out to her roommates and Bethany was the only one who answered? And why would Bethany just randomly call her after she saw the guy walking past? Like, what prompted that call? Because they constantly imply that Dylan made the call, but if you look at all of the transcripts, you can see it was Bethany. Bethany called her right after she saw the guy walk past. Do you think that's weird?
Yeah, because we saw before that came out, we knew that there was 351 and then it went to 420 something, right? So we didn't see this before.
Yeah.
But it's one of the things about why I feel like Bethany didn't really know, because if Dylan saw that person, right? And if Dylan saw that person and she started messaging people right away, why would then at 4:19 BF call DM if she never did message her? And why in the heck isn't DM having any phone activity unless that's when the frozen shock phase took place?
It's still weird that Bethany would know to call her at the exact time that she's saying she saw somebody walk past her door.
Because she heard something. So when we're looking at, let me show this photo here. Hold on. Let me bring this up here. All right. So when we're looking at this photo, okay, Bethany's down here.
Yeah.
When you hear something, you might not have heard something up here. Okay, you might not have heard something up here, but I'm sure you heard something right here, because this half a wall that's here, this little half a wall, any kind of noise, okay, any kind of noise that takes place in this area right here, okay, in that living room, dining area right here, with that half wall, especially over in this area of the house, it's already going to create an echo effect, because the sounds are going to be bouncing off the walls. And when there's a half a wall right here, the sound of this is going to bounce off these walls in between the hallway, and then come around and get bigger as it makes it past the hallway. And so that's why I feel like she heard something going on. And then right over here is right almost above her room.
Yeah, okay.
So I feel like she heard the altercation going on, and maybe it was just by chance that she called right when the person walked by. But wouldn't that be crazy if Dylan really was looking at the person and then a call came through on her phone?
Yeah,
That
because
gives your position away.
yeah, because they haven't exactly outright stated that Bethany called Dylan, but it's in the lists. We can see it. But whenever they write a paragraph on it, it's always loosely implied that Dylan called Bethany, and you can see that's not what happened. So I just do think it's weird. But look, I understand saying that she heard something because I can tell with the layout of the house, she would have heard something. It's just, I guess, it is a coincidence, that she didn't call anyone else. She called Dylan when Dylan saw this. It's just, yeah. I mean, yeah. She heard something, but yeah.
I mean, why would you call your roommate at 4:19 in the morning if you didn't hear something?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the noise, the noise. So hold on. The noise that was taking place. Why is it not? Here it is. All right. So the noise that was taking place right here that startled Bethany was probably the same noise that startled Dylan and made her look out the door.
Yeah.
Because if she's being prompted reactionary to go look out the crack of the door, well, they both had to have heard something at the same time and both had the same kind of reaction at the same time. And because Dylan's up there and it was some kind of weird noise, well, then I could see why Bethany called Dylan, because like Dylan's already up and she would be on the second floor where the crime took place, and so I could see why. Now what I would be interested in is to know I'd like to know a little more than what this is showing, because I would like to know, did BF contact Xana and Ethan?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because I feel like she might have contacted everybody, because before this takes place, how do you know that DM's even up?
Right.
Now, here's another thing that is interesting too, is when it comes to the calls to Jack, right? Madison's phone calls BF around the same time.
Yeah, so I mean, it was obviously making multiple calls. We don't even know who else, I guess.
Well, we just saw the MM, so we thought it might have been somebody else. But this right here, they weren't just calling Jack. They were calling Bethany too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. It's so suspicious. Let me see here. Let me scroll through some of them. Okay, we went through those. Bethany, I'm not kidding. I'm so freaked out. So am I. My phone is going to die. Come to my room. Run. See, to me, it looks like Bethany didn't even know anything, and she's just like, but, let me see here. So then outgoing message, calls, Kaylee, Xana, Madison, Kaylee, please answer, Snapchat. Now, from 4:37 to 10 a.m., humongous gap.
Yeah.
Are you still up? Are you up? via phone call to JM to DM. Bro, do you guys need me to come get you? DM receives a vandal alert. Stay away from the area, shelter in place, and then here's the 911 call. Redacted. One of the 4 roommates. Okay, more 911 call. Getting help started. Just gave me the phone. Okay, there's police there. Officer Nunez. Remember, best way to exclude your DNA. And creepy photo as well. So when it comes to this Officer Nunez, right there, that it has always been concerning too.
Yeah.
Because when we're talking about Officer Nunez, and this is what we're discussing. We'll just leave it. We'll just leave that be that.
Self-explanatory. Yeah, it's creepy though.
Mm-hmm. Just leave that be that. Let me see here. Is there something specific else you want to check out? Because that interview is like 2 hours, I think.
Yeah.
Let's see what let me see. We're at 3:15, so I mean, I would imagine it would probably take about 2:45, 3 hours to go through it. Allow time for commentary and all that stuff. So that's probably too much.
Yeah. If you're gonna do it tonight, I will definitely watch the replay.
Let me look through my stuff here real quick.
Okay. It's a good point of Sherry's in chat saying, imagine hearing all those phones ringing, like calls up and down on every floor.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Well, I mean, I might, because there's some crazy stuff. If even if we could always talk about it, in the morning time as well, when you're able to kind of
sure,
discuss
anytime.
it.
Any morning that works, I can arrange. Whatever works, if you want. Yeah.
Yeah, let me we'll figure it out. Let me play this real quick as I want to kind of look through and see I want to kind of look through and see what else we can kind of go through, because I was thinking we were going to be able to go through the call, but we're not going to have enough time to do that. So let me see what else I might have that I want to discuss before we're done. In the meantime, this is a video from the University of Idaho. Remember, we played a video when it came to the questions, the campus real talk. We had played a previous episode. I'm going to play this one real quick, and I'll be right back in a couple minutes. And then also, as it's going, I'm going to check to see if there's anything else that I want to make sure we cover before we're done. So check this video out here real quick. Here's the link to the video. We checked out the first one that they did. Pretty interesting. This is going to be another one here. And here's the link for that if you'd like to have it. And these are campus questions. College students answer popular questions. So here's that. And
I'll also be right back in a moment.
Okay. We'll be right back in a couple minutes here. Thank you all for being here.
You gotta say hi to the Snapchat. YouTube.
Oh, girl, here she goes. Hi, everyone.
Right. So let's get into it. Hi, guys. Welcome to the University of Idaho's YouTube channel. And we're just going to answer a few questions for the students and give them the real about the college experience. I'll have everyone introduce themselves. I'm Shay. I'm a junior, and I'm studying political science and journalism.
I'm Josie. I'm a junior, and I'm studying political science.
I'm Blair, and I'm a senior studying management information systems.
I'm Sky. I'm a junior, and I'm studying athletic training and sports medicine.
Okay, wonderful. The first question is, what do you love most about the University of Idaho?
I can start off. What I think drove me to U of I was how beautiful the campus was and how many different outdoorsy things you can do. You can study outside. We have our arboretum, which has different plants from all different places. And then also in that arboretum too, there's bunnies and all that. So if you want to study with some bunnies walking across you, do that. But yeah, I liked it because of how beautiful the campus was.
For me, I feel like it's the resources that the school provides. There's so much for you and activities around campus that you can get involved with in clubs.
I really value the education they offer here. I think there's a lot of interesting and different majors. And for me specifically, we have one of the best athletic training programs in the country. So that obviously made me want to come here even more.
For me, it's because it was, affordable. College tuition is no joke, and not being in debt is something that was really important to me and really important to my family. So going to the University of Idaho was both the best option and the most affordable option, for sure. Okay, next question. Are there any jobs on campus, and how do I apply?
I got this one.
Oh,
so
let me see.
I was gonna say I could not answer that for you.
Right.
We have an app called Handshake. Hop on that. You'll see a ton of jobs on there. If you need a work study job, they got that too. But yeah, that's probably the best place to look for it. They also have job fairs here for on-campus jobs.
But if you do get an off-campus job, a lot of the small businesses and also some of the bigger businesses as well are very understanding with students' schedules and all that, because we are, this is a college town, so a lot of their staff and all of that are college students, so they kind of maneuver through that. But yeah, Handshake is definitely the best place you can go.
Okay, media training. Okay. Next question. Is there diversity on campus? I feel like obviously there is. But yeah, we do live in Idaho, and Idaho is a majority white state. So there's less diversity than if you went to a school in California or New York, but I definitely, if you look for your people, you'll find your people.
Yeah, U of I is a PWI, which, for those that don't know, is a predominantly white institution. And so, yeah, like Shay said, a lot of your peers will probably not be of color, but there are, a community of people here from African, from just Black American, from Hispanic, from Asian, from, all around. You just kind of have to find your people and really put yourself out there to seek those opportunities to meet those people and everything.
You got to get into the club fairs. Promise you, you're going to find your people, even if it's not people of your race, religion, ethnicity. You're going to find people that do things that you like to do. Go find a club. Even if you don't ever go to a meeting, at least you're there. You're going to find people's information. Go to one meeting, make one friend. That's literally all I had to do. But I just literally went to one meeting, and I think that was genuinely probably that's all it took. It took one meeting, and then we had our very fun African night, which is in fall semester, so you should definitely go. And I had just instantly made, lifelong friends just from that one meeting, because all it took was to see people that looked like me and talked like me and knew what I was going through, and I wouldn't have done it otherwise if I didn't have the push to just go to join a club. So go find something that you like, find a hobby.
Oh, so cute. It was.
Or join a frat or a sorority.
Oh, yeah, right.
That's a brotherhood, that's a sisterhood. We have good ones out here. Very welcoming if you find the right one for you, but that's a whole other system of brotherhood or sisterhood. We do have a lot on campus. We have a lot of frats, a lot of sororities, a lot of different options for you.
Yeah. Greek life is very
Greek
active.
life is huge. It's a huge thing here.
And they got MGC, which is the multicultural Greek
council.
Yep. So go join something. Go do something social.
Just do it.
Don't stay in your dorm or your apartment.
You gotta go outside. Talk to the girl next to you in class. Talk to the guy next to you in class. It doesn't matter. Tell your professor you like their glasses.
Right.
Just be nice to people. And people will be nice back. I promise you, when that professor says you get in a group, you're gonna be best friends with the person next to you in about a matter of seconds.
Yep.
Just because of close force proximity.
Okay, next question. How do you pick your roommate?
Are we
talking about dorms?
Yeah, so I think we're talking about dorms. Definitely, if you want a freshman real experience, going to the tower. Everyone in the tower is a freshman, so everyone is going to be in the same kind of like boat as you. Like a lot of their events too is like in there is like really tailored to the freshman experience. To find a roommate, you could either decide to apply with your friend, like if both of your friends are like going to the same school, you guys can apply to be roommates, or you kind of just go through the housing application. But I feel like even if quote unquote your roommate is not the best, or you guys are not besties for life, even just meeting someone new, or like that's just another face that that's another person on campus, which that's just all college is like making connections, meeting people, and just putting face to names. But
so I lived in Gooding my freshman year, so I had a roommate which was my best friend from my hometown, and then we had a conjoining room and then two other roommates. And so we just kind of went to the roommate portal and we filled out all of our information and we kind of looked through other people's applications and saw what they were like, if they were more messy, if they were more clean, if they were out of state, if they were in state, what were their hobbies. And so we got to match rooms with people who had similar interests as us. And I think that worked out pretty well. So yeah, just, look through that portal, really be honest in your application, and you could find your best friend or not.
So again, just being open to meeting new people, being open to coexist with somebody is really important for life.
For life.
You're gonna have to coexist with a lot of different type of people everywhere, in classes, in the iSub, in the eatery.
Job, bro.
Right. Yeah. Next question: what is campus life really like? Who wants to start?
It depends. I think it's similar to the diversity question in that you're going to find what you're looking for if you go look for it. When I first got here, I had no idea how I was going to get information about parties or any social events happening on campus. But, I pushed myself to go to that one PSU meeting, and then all of a sudden I had people that knew where things were happening and knew ways I could meet more people. Clubs always have social events and social hosted events with other clubs. So definitely, like I said earlier, go out, go do something social. I know ASUI has a lot of social events on campus that they're really loud and proud about. So definitely go check those out.
I think also, like, you can't wait for somebody to come and get you and bring you somewhere. You have to go out of your way to like find it and then get involved yourself. So
Yeah, for sure. I think like for me, like I was definitely scared to put myself out there my freshman year, and I spent like a good solid semester kind of like avoiding different things and like sitting in my dorm and just like going to class and coming back. But I really had to force myself to put myself out there. And now I'm a part of student government. I'm a part of the Black Student Union. I have an on-campus job. Like I'm a part of so many different things, and I wouldn't have been able to do that otherwise. So if you're like someone who likes to play video games in your dorm, that's cool. We have a spot where you can play video games with other people. Like we have the band. We have like such an array of things that if you look for it, you will find it, guaranteed.
Yeah, and then like talking about like the day-to-day, like just walking around campus, like if you go by like the residence halls or whatever, like especially if it's a good day like this, like you'll see people outside like playing volleyball. You'll be seeing people on the field just like sitting and just like studying. Like most of the time when it's good weather like this, Moscow or just this like the campus in general, there's a lot of people just outside. Like a lot of people outside either playing games, you know, talking, studying, you know, whatever it is. But like we've been reiterating, like it's important. Get out of your dorm, get out of your comfortable space. Like if you come up here with your best friend, cool, awesome. I'm very jealous of you. But it is important that you take a step back and really go out and try to figure yourself out as a person here on college, because this is the best time for you to do it as well. Like
that's the whole point.
Yeah, you're just trying to figure yourself out, and so don't let yourself get too comfortable.
Yeah, I would say like even if you are more of an introvert, more of a loner, that's great. And I just want to say that like that with college and with studies and with social life, you most likely can't do it alone. Even if you're just, you know, walking to class, going or just, you know, leaving the dorm, walking to class. If you don't make friends in that class, it's going to be so much harder. In my experience, at least, I tried, you know, just going to class, putting my head down, not really wanting to talk to anybody. And it was 10 times harder to do that than it was when I started talking to people in my class, talking to people in my labs, talking to my professors. It just got so much easier to realize that I wasn't the only one going through college and going through this course even with how heavy it was. And even if you're still an introvert or loner, like going to the gym is, I think, one of the best places to meet people. We have our rec center. We have a climbing center. We have volleyball on Wednesdays. There's basketball going all the time.
The outdoor activity thing where they have like a bunch of like outdoor events like hiking,
skiing,
rafting,
yes.
Oh,
There's trips, everything.
That's perfect. Like
there's
so many groups of people for just go look up University of Idaho and then put your interest in there. I promise you're gonna find something that you like.
You're gonna find a
You're
club.
You're gonna find an Instagram page.
Yeah.
You're gonna find even if it's one other person, it will make your experience so much better.
Yeah, and we have 300 clubs on campus.
Oh, so many.
You got an option.
Right.
Yeah,
At least one. Any last minute words, thoughts, concerns?
So many.
Is that the last question?
We hope to see you guys on the campus, and we hope to see more freshmen coming in. We're super excited to have all you guys incoming freshmen, and we hope that we've answered all of you guys' questions.
Yeah. Okay. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, do all the.
Hold on. Wait.
Wanna say hi to the Snapchat, YouTube?
Girl, here she goes.
She always needs to vlog.
She always
She
needs
wanna
to
be
do
one of
so.
them.
Hold on. Not too much. Not too much.
You want to be one of them.
Okay.
So bad.
Anyways.
Guys, remember, visa.
Visa.
Keep it cool, keep it light. Visa.
Visa.
Kisses, bye.
Whoops. Sorry, I didn't realize I had the audio up there. This is what really stuck out to me. They're talking about how seems like there's a lot of loners up there if they're coming out saying that, but also
when they said that you have to go out of your way to try and they talk about how you should try and get along, and if you have it was interesting. The last one that they talked about was roommates that you're not getting along with as well. But the whole go out of your way to join a club or something. Why would you go out of your way if everything is so friendly? One thing I am going to cover here real quick before we're done, and I'll be back later this evening to go over that call, and then if you want to go over it sometime this weekend, we could do that too, with anything that you notice as well, Rosee. This thing right here, though, Sigma Chi, this just came out. Sigma Chi announces new partnership with American Red Cross. So this just came out. It just dropped. I'm not even sure what kind of partnership it is, but I figure we'll go ahead and check it out, and then we'll end the show. Are you available tomorrow around the same time? Okay, we can go ahead and go through it again tomorrow if you would like. And
definitely.
Do that tonight.
Yeah,
okay.
Excited for that one.
And who knows, there'll probably be more documents that drop too. But here's the latest announcement. Sigma Chi announces the new partnership with American Red Cross.
Hey, brothers. Bob Wilson here. Have you got a couple of seconds? Every 2 seconds, someone in the United States needs blood. And blood is something that can't be manufactured in the lab despite all of our technological advances. The generosity of donors is absolutely vital to maintaining the steady supply for patients and people in need. The unfortunate truth is tragedies continue to impact millions of people every year. Natural disasters, disease, accidents. And with 265,000 living Sigma Chi's, we know that our brothers are impacted. Maybe even you. At Sigma Chi, we believe in doing all that we can to lend that helping hand to our brothers, to be there for our friends, our communities, and those people in need. So I am excited, and I'm proud to announce that Sigma Chi will be partnering with the American Red Cross to bring blood drives to campuses across our country. The Red Cross hosts approximately 500 blood drives every day, collecting and distributing 40% of our nation's blood supply to over 3,000 hospitals, treatment centers, and area in need. As we thought to supplement your efforts to provide community service, we thought partnering with an organization that shares our values would obviously be the best fit, and the American Red Cross was a natural fit. As a fraternity, we're striving to achieve our goal of 20 hours of community service per brother per year. And this initiative is going to provide a worthy cause to support those efforts. Shortly, your community chairman should receive an invitation to a webinar for the next steps. We will be excited to provide more details on the timing for this upcoming academic year and ways that you and your chapter can play a crucial role in alleviating the suffering of those afflicted by tragedies and those accidents and those natural disasters that we've all become too familiar with. Brothers, it's an exciting opportunity to provide that service. We know and we look forward to the partnership with the Red Cross. We know and we look forward to your participation. And brothers, we know we will succeed.
I mean, that's a good thing. A blood drive, there's never enough blood.
Yeah.
We're always on a shortage, so that's a good thing that they're going to be donating their time and their blood for that. But it was just kind of throughout the whole country, I suppose, because he said 265,000 living brothers. So I imagine that's throughout the whole country. I don't know if that's kind of a weird partnership to announce. I don't really hear partnerships of even businesses, even locally, announcing partnerships with the Red Cross. So it's just kind of odd. But yeah, I'll go ahead and we'll do a noti tomorrow sometime.
Okay.
I'll get that set, and then I'll be back later on tonight to discuss the call as well. So I want to say thank you all for hanging out. Thank you, Rosee, for hanging out as well. And a lot of interesting documents. There's going to be more. There's plenty more we haven't even got through yet. So there's always going to be documents to talk about. But a lot of different things came out in these documents here, and a lot of information, a lot of transparencies being shown what was and what wasn't. And it's kind of interesting how you go to Brett Payne's PCA Exhibit A, and he talks about how Xana and Ethan were home by 1:45 and how Bethany saw them. And here we find out that, in fact, Bethany was hanging out upstairs in Kaylee's room after she said that they had arrived there. And then it states that they were not home back at that time. And so it always makes me wonder, where's the missing time?
Exactly. Yeah.
Where's the missing time? Where's the chunk of time where Ethan and Xana were at? We heard ordering pizza and they were home and all this other stuff. Well, that just debunks all that, because they weren't even there.
They weren't.
No.
They weren't.
They weren't even there. So thank you all for hanging out. Appreciate it. If you're not subbed to Rosee, here's her link. Please go subscribe and hit the like as well. And I will see you back later tonight, and we will both see you back tomorrow morning. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you. Love you. Peaceful, positive day.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Okay over there? Is your victim at the hospital? Someone shot there. Alright, the ET does take pictures of the, is it domestic related? She's calling back. We're going to try to give her a call again, and then she just added another phone number to the 13-year-old grandson who's possibly with the daughter. That was it.
2412.
Veterans Crisis Hotline calling in for the female veterans of medication. She's working the baby. Detective 12, check the check coming out.
Take one board, 137.
Officer still saying to stop, no? Commander in custody? Please come forward. If anyone else follows my sister for us, let me know. Stand by. 33.
Let us supervisor find the let us attend.
First stand by. 10-4.